Hello, everybody. It's Friday night, and we all know what that means. It is time for high school football. Or if that's not your thing, it's time for heavy metallurgy. I am one of your hosts, Alan, from the Let's Talk Metal channel, and I am here with my other esteemed host, Marty. How are we doing this fine Friday evening, Marty?
Good to see you. Good to be here. Good to see everybody already stirring around in the chat.
It is. Folks have been already throwing out some titles over there in the chat tied to tonight's discussion. Some of those I'm sure we'll be talking about. Some of them we may not get around to. We'll catch up to that. But before we do that, just some of the basic reminders. We do have Heavy Metallurgy t-shirts that are available for sale through the Bindrune website. Marty's got a link for that in the show comments. So if you're interested, you can head over there anytime after the show and pick one up. We are having a new design built. So if you want to hold off and see what the new shirt looks like, or if you're just ready for a second shirt, that will be coming in the near future. Marty's also been running a poll about some other types of merchandise. So we're looking at that to see what kind of things folks want. We don't want to build 300 giant heavy metallurgy sombreros and then have nobody order one. Personally, I think that would be an awesome item, but I think I got voted down on that one. But if you haven't participated in the poll, we would appreciate some feedback just to make sure we can, offer things that people would actually enjoy rather than wasting people's time on stuff that they don't want.
And our money.
And that too, yes. And our ego.
It seems like hoodies are winning the race, and I think coffee mugs are in there too. All great ideas, so we shall see.
Indeed, absolutely. And other reminders, we've also got the super chat thing turned on. So if you feel like throwing a few dollars our way this evening, you're welcome to do so. You are certainly not obligated to do so in any way.
No, sir.
We'll be bringing you the same content regardless. But sometimes people ask us, is there a way I could help out a little bit? I'd love to support the show. And that's a very easy, simple way to, just put a few dollars in the war chest in case we have a hard drive blowout or a microphone give out. It allows us to, keep the tech up and running without having a big, multi-week gap while folks have to wait for a payday or something to replace something if a computer craps out on us or whatnot. But I believe that is all the announcements for tonight. Unless, Marty, did you have anything else that you wanted to shout out before we bring on our awesome guest?
I will do G-strings, Simon, if you model them.
That's fair.
It's fair. I think that is
fair.
Fair call there.
If you would like to see Simon model heavy metallurgy banana hammocks, post in the chat tonight, and we'll try to keep a running tally and see if it's going to be worth everybody's time.
We'll hold
nothing else. I bet some people would get quite the rise out of that.
But no, nothing really new to report. You cover all the bases. We're very excited tonight. We've got Melanie back from Melanie Loves Death Metal, who has missed out on the last couple times we've been trying to get her here because of sickness and other busy things. But let's get her on here right now. Melanie, absolutely. How's it going?
Good. I'm finally not sick.
Yay, welcome back.
Yay, being not sick.
And if anybody in the chat is not familiar with Melanie Loves Death Metal, she's got a very active Instagram and a very awesome YouTube channel, one of my favorites on the YouTubeverse for sure. And it's always a pleasure to have you here, Melanie. We can crush it pretty well when you're here, and thank you for bringing this topic to us, because this would have been one that I don't know that either of us would have been really running towards. Would you agree to that, Alan?
I probably wasn't, at the top of the list, but it is getting, late in the year, and so it is time to. It's time. It's not to the end of the year yet, so it's kind of a good time to take stock on where we are at with new releases from 2022, and also touch base on what's still to come, what things we have to catch up on. So yeah, I think this is actually a very good time to check in and see what the year has had to offer for all of us headbangers out there.
I will say one thing, talking about this, talking about favorite releases for the year. Having social media, I mean, you see all sorts of crap on there, from politics that don't align with yours or religion that doesn't align with yours. But it seems like every single year, ever since I was active back in the days with Metal Maniacs, people would write in, or, then when the internet took off, people every year say, this has been a disappointing year for metal. Metal sucks this year, and blah blah. and I always every single year I have to ask myself, what are these people listening to? Because I don't know about you guys, but maybe if you're just sticking to the more mainstream metal titles, but I mean, if you're in the underground, there's always great shit every single year. I don't know. I think I've seen one or two already this year. Oh, I'm real disappointed with releases this year. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a fair observation. You do see that a lot, and at the same time, you never know how many things people have heard in a given year. If people have only heard a handful of new releases and a couple of them didn't click, or if they had like one that was highly anticipated that kind of disappointed them, that can definitely kind of color one's perspective on how the year is going. So Jack, thank you very much. Glad to see you back in the chat tonight.
Thanks, Jack.
It's really cool of you, man. So maybe they're just not hearing a whole lot of albums, or maybe they just got bummed out over one or two that were a bit of a letdown. But you're right, Marty. You do tend to see a fair deal of negativity each year about how the year's going. So hopefully tonight we can call out some titles that we think have been really good, and if folks haven't had a chance to check them out, maybe they can go listen to them, and that'll turn their frown upside down when it comes to the 2022 year of heavy metal.
What were you gonna say, Mel?
I was gonna say, I think also part of it is they probably don't follow social media as closely as some people do. So when there's new releases, they find it on like Revolver, stuff like that, the bigger metal sites.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe if they have like Apple Music or Spotify, like the metal section will have new music, but rarely does it dive deep into, like the underground black metal, death metal, grindcore, stuff like that. Like if they're not that ingrained into it, then they just assume there's not a lot of good releases coming out. So I think that's a big part of it as well.
That's a good point. Yeah, you do have to dig around a bit sometimes if you're just looking at a few sort of, relatively big, media outlets. You may not see a lot of variety, and you'll miss a whole lot of stuff that you might really like.
Yeah.
And this is a good comment too. Too many metal fans constantly look back.
True.
It is easy to be, especially if you're surrounded by a sizable record collection. I mean, even with the internet, Spotify, YouTube, I mean, you can listen to anything you want, and people typically go with the comfort food. They're going to listen to the shit that has always done them right. And, people maybe don't want to be searchers like we are. I mean, it just becomes a thing. It's almost like an obsession or an addiction, if you will, to always want to hear the new thing and get that feeling of excitement hearing something that's new and awesome. And some people just don't have that. And, I get it. It's okay. It's okay to just, keep listening to the same Dark Throne records or, whatever, the same 3 Blind Guardian records or, whatever you want to do. But I just never could understand it. People aren't trying really hard, or they're just casual metal fans. That's another thing too. The people just maybe aren't as entrenched in it. Casual fan doesn't tend to dig much.
You heard it, everybody. If you complain about metal, your steel is not true. This guy said it over here.
Hey, Scott, thanks so much. You're too kind.
Thank you, Scott. Good to see you in the chat tonight, man.
And that's right. There are too many good. That's another thing. There's too many bands. I'm in one of 10 million bands. It's just, how do you make your your presence known? And and it's easy to get lumped into listening to music that's been inspired. Some bands aren't really pushing the envelope, so I guess I could see how it could get tiresome.
Yeah, we've talked about it before, but I mean, you have hundreds and hundreds of new releases every year. Nobody can hear even a fraction of them, so it's real easy to miss stuff. And Greg, you are right. People will definitely get more attention when they complain than when they're sort of praising or hyping something. Sad but true. That is something that will work.
Well, even sometimes people that are hyping something, people don't listen to it for that reason. Like
I'm guilty.
Yeah, you are. You're not as bad as some people though that I'm close with. Like some people just legit will not listen to something just because they've seen it posted on Reddit. Like,
Mhm.
oh, it's in the Reddit subreddit and it's all new school stuff. Like I can't, and I have to like physically force them to listen to it. Like I'll catch them off guard and send them a YouTube link with no, and then they'll be like, "Oh, this is pretty good." I'm like, "Yeah, that's the band that I told you about 3 months ago, you dick." Like,
Yep.
Yeah, Melanie, you sent me a CD that I've been listening to that I never would have bought on my own at all, just because of some of the hype that was around it.
Which
And
one?
The Mall.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're.
No,
I'm glad
I
you
haven't
liked
listened to
that.
the other two you sent. I just spun that. I've been spinning that one, and it's really good. But
Yeah.
you know, again, so many people. Oh, what the hell is this band? I can't remember the name of it. This thing.
Oh, Stormkeep. Yeah.
The hype. I broke down and bought the mini CD, and I was completely underwhelmed with it. But this, on the other hand, is fantastic. This is last year's album, but again, I often, whenever I wait, it's like, what was I thinking? I should have listened. Hey, Mark, we need to get you on. We need to get you on here one of these nights. I got to drop you a line one of these days. I keep forgetting to get a hold of you.
Was gonna wear a Mark Riddick shirt tonight, and now I feel bad that I didn't.
Mine's in the dirty clothes.
I literally was sitting here thinking, I just got this shirt today, and I told the guys from the band that I would wear it on your stream tonight. So, but yeah, no, Mark, I had a shirt pulled out, and I was gonna put it on, and now I'm kind of like, shit, he's in the stream, so of course I didn't put it on.
Well, now that bands are reaching out to Melanie for product placement and other streams,
no,
that's a sign of going somewhere.
No, this was all just me. The band Knoll, which I'll talk about, they released an album this year, and all props to my friend Paul, who's like, just, we call him the grind lord. It's like he's just the grindcore master. Just have become obsessed with them, and they released this shirt about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I got it in today. And they always do like a really nice personal touch, of they write like a little letter to you whenever you order stuff from them.
Oh, cool.
And so, yeah, I don't know. They're just really, really cool group of guys, and they're really interactive, and they always talk whenever you shout them out and stuff like that. So I shouted them out today, and then they wrote me, and I was like, yeah, I'll wear the shirt on stream tonight, just an FYI. So,
well, let's get into it. Some of us have more than others to show, so we're gonna start with Melanie here.
All right. Well, on that note, I'll start with Knoll, since I talked about it. So this is a grindcore band out of I think they're from Kentucky. It's either Kentucky or Tennessee. I'm so bad at knowing that. This is their second full length. What is it called? Metampiric. I don't remember what it's called. It's just a really strange name. So this is like some of the most blistering grindcore that I've ever heard. And that's not saying a lot, because I just started listening to grindcore like a lot this year. It's never been a genre that I really dove deep into. But just the vocals, like literally they'll rip you apart. Like they're just so pulverizing, I guess is the best way to explain it. And it's fast paced, it's blistering, it's really, really intense. And this is their second. They had another album that came out, I think either last year or the year before. And I got that a couple of months ago. I think it was January when I first heard it. And then they slowly released this one. So if you're waiting on the vinyl, it comes out, I think, in October or something. But the CDs are shipping now. And it's incredible. I mean, the songs are like between 1 minute, 2 minutes long, but they're so blistering that you wouldn't realize that they're that short, just because there's just so much to it. And there's a lot of other elements in there that maybe at a first pass, if you listen to it, you don't quite catch it when you're first listening to it. But the more listens, you start to hear certain nuances of the vocal styles that they do, and a little bit of like, there's horns in some parts of it and stuff like that. So it's a really, really good album. I would not recommend it for anybody that's new to grindcore, however, to have it be their first album that they ever listen to, because it can be a lot when you first hear it. Like it can really be overwhelming. But when I first heard this band, I was sold completely. It's the really high, like shrieking grindcore, and then there's a little bit of like the growls that they do in there as well. But yeah, pretty much what Ryan said. It's absolutely unhinged. That's probably the best way to explain it. But yeah, it's a great album. So if anybody's looking for a new grindcore band, chaotic, insane grindcore band. Definitely check them out. Knoll with the Knoll is how they spell it. So great stuff. Yeah, I could talk about that for forever. We talk about it in a group chat on Instagram all the time. I just wish, yes, you probably, if you're internal rot, you'll like it for sure. Or worm rot. It definitely reminds me a bit of worm rot too.
All right. Start off with some grindcore. What's Alan's first pick for the night?
Well, it's not exactly grindcore. I've talked about this one a couple of times, but it definitely fits the bill, and it's been one of my favorites this year so far. It's the new album from Seventh Wonder called The Testament. This is their 6th album, and it's their 5th with vocalist Tommy Kervik. Most folks know Tommy better as the current vocalist for Camelot, the Florida power metal band. He replaced Roy Khan when he found religion and took off for other things. Seventh Wonder, you would describe them as a progressive metal band, but they really do it right. They are very song oriented. The emphasis is on good melodies, catchy songwriting. The musicianship is amazing. Don't get me wrong. It's very well done, very tasteful, very cool, but it's not like, later Dream Theater wankery where the song is just completely lost while 5 guys, show off with weird time signatures and, all that kind of stuff. The songs are always very tight, very good. Kervik's one of the best vocalists in this genre. I'm hard pressed to think of anybody who sounds better than he does. Great range, smooth delivery, a lot of passion, very soulful voice. It's just another really solid album by them. The band's output has slowed down over the past decade with Tommy, having to split time between the 2 bands. And Camelot is obviously a bigger name band in the field, so they kind of get the lion's share of his schedule. But this is a great album. Their previous one wasn't bad, but it was maybe a little bit of a step down from what they had done before. So this bounces back really nice. Fans have been really, really happy with it. It's had a good reception. Lots of positive reviews across the board. Haven't really seen folks say anything negative about it. So yes, if you don't mind more progressive power metal, but you want it where, it's still very song focused, no, bullshit wanking off for no reason whatsoever. Seventh Wonder is a really excellent band to check out. And this album would be a good place to start too. It's a good introduction to the kinds of stuff they've done on earlier albums. So great album. Glad the band is back in the saddle, and hopefully they'll be able to start putting out albums again a little more consistently and frequently than they have for the past decade.
All right.
Not exactly grindcore, but it's awesome.
It's close.
Tommy does have a grindcore project on the side. They just haven't recorded or released anything yet. So he's working on that, those kind of, growls and vomits.
Yeah, that wasn't the name of the band Pornivore. I can't. Was it something like that?
I think it was Mutilated Orphanage or it's a working title.
It sounds like a brutal death metal album. Not grindcore.
All right, for me, I'm incredibly biased on this because I put it out, but my favorite album of the year is not going to be contested either. The new Nechachwan, Canal Black. This thing, it came out earlier in the year, so I think it's going to get a little overlooked when the year-end lists come along, which really is a bummer because this band kills everybody. The talent in this band is so immense. The guitar work is amazing. The guitar solos are amazing. The singing, from screams to pitch singing, the foresty nature of this material. The album's immense. We've seen both. Too. Yep, we've seen both of these guys on Heavy Metallurgy before. We're getting Aaron back one of these days. Andrew was here not too long ago, but this is one of my favorite bands on Byron Recordings, and they're amazingly sweet people and so talented, and they write amazing music. And Canal Black is, I think, their best album. Every album, I say that about every album they put out, and they're just developing so amazingly well. They're very comfortable in their own skin when they're writing this style of music. It's from, you know, classical acoustic instrumentation to, you know, straight up ripping black metal, woodsy black metal. These guys have all the bases covered. Album of the year for me. And if you haven't heard it, definitely check it out. We still have a lot of copies left. This album comes with a CD. The CD's in here somewhere. So yes, it's worth your time to investigate. If you're into black metal, atmospheric stuff, definitely check these guys out.
I credit that album for getting me through COVID, because I got it like the day after I found out I had it, and I immediately put it on when I got it. And I think I listened to it for 2 weeks straight. Like it it kept me in a good mood, because I was pretty depressed when I had COVID. Like I was not feeling well at all. Just really down. I don't do well when I get sick. I'm a big baby. So yeah, and I got that album, and truthfully, I had never heard it. I purposely did not listen to it until I got the vinyl. And I do that a lot with a lot of the stuff that I buy. I'll hear maybe like one song on Bandcamp that if it gets released, but that's it. And I just was like, yeah, this is going to be a top 2 for me at least.
Yeah.
It's a great album.
Yep, it is. They really knocked. I mean, their last album, I could think it was the album before, Algonquian Mythos.
At the Heart.
Heart of Akamon. Yeah, Heart of Akamon. Awesome album as well. It's just, again, they move from strength to strength. Their development is incredible. So good. But anyway, Melanie, you're back.
Okay, well, I saw Ben was in the chat, so this is totally because of him. The new Father Befouled, Crowned in Beneficum, some death metal album name that I can never pronounce. Band is in the US. This is admittedly the first time I'd really ever heard them. I was not too up on them until this was released on Everlasting Spew. So he did. What did you do, Ben? You did a video where you like banged the shit out of your desk throughout the whole entire video, talking about how great it was. But before that, you also talked about it.
That was Imperial Triumphant. I think he was banging on the desk. Yeah.
I think you also talked about it in maybe a collection update or something. But I just saw like you gushing over it, and I thought to myself, if Ben is gushing over this album, it's probably really good, because it doesn't do that often for things, especially when it comes to death metal. New death metal, that is. So yeah, I bought it, had never heard it. I got it through Night Shift merch, because Everlasting Spew is a pain in the ass to get stuff into the US. And it's incredible. It is very riff heavy. They've got amazing riffs in here, just great guitars, just very dark and doomy almost sounding vocal style. Very long songs, longer than what you would expect in a death metal record. It's just a very well written album. So if nobody's listening to this yet, you have to. Like this is by far one of the best death metal records to come out this year. It's hard to top. It's been one that I've listened to a lot, and there hasn't been a whole lot of death metal that's come out this year that has made me feel this way, which is weird to say, because of the last several years I've loved a lot of death metal, but just not a lot has really caught my attention that much this year. But this album definitely, it came out relatively early into the year, so I feel like this is getting overlooked now. But definitely check this out. It's a very good album. Yeah, a little bit raw incantation. Yeah. So that's
they've always been pegged as that, you know, incantation worship, and it's true-ish, but you listen to it, their styles are a little different. I mean, the sound is the same, the vocals are the same, but if you put them side by side, you could tell who's who, I think.
Yeah, they don't have 15 albums out, though.
No, they do not. All right, Alan.
All right. My stack's not quite as big as Marty or Melanie's tonight, so I'm just going to piggyback off of Marty's, because this was in my stack too. We'll continue to gush about this album. For folks that haven't checked it out, yes, it's a great follow-up to what the band has done before. It has, a really good balance of different types of songs, so that everything stands out very nicely. Each track's distinct from the others. The vinyl has really nice liner notes with it as well. They wrote, kind of, some background about inspirations for each song, what some of the historical connotations and significance were. Not everybody likes to sit and read that stuff, but I find it very interesting to see where the band gets some of their ideas, especially when they're writing about this kind of stuff, that, is maybe, not, extremely well known to a lot of folks. It's a little more obscure history. So it's really interesting to learn about it as they go. It's very, very well put together. Fans of any of this kind of style stuff should dig it quite a bit. There seems to be an interest in sort of indigenous black metal recently, and Nachachwan's a band that's was doing it before it was starting to become cool. So obviously this is something that folks that are interested in that direction should check out for sure. You probably are right, Marty. It may be one that starts to get a little overlooked by the time folks get to the end of the year. Humans, we tend to be kind of short-sighted. We don't have the best long-term memory about stuff, but that's one that people definitely should be thinking about in terms of album of the year. I don't know if it'll be my favorite for the year. There's some really good stuff out, but I'm not going to forget about it because it is a extremely good album that should not just get left on the shelf and forgotten because it's a few months old. Check that one out, folks, if you have not heard it, for sure.
Okay. Okay.
Next, Marty.
I'm just gonna go through the records first, just to get them out of the way. Buddy of mine sent me this record, Corpatuli, The Ancient Spells of the Past. It's kind of cool. The cover has like this raised glow in the dark stuff to it, but this is Finnish black metal, dealing with the mystical side of nature. Nothing new there, but harsh, some cool melodic moments here and there. But I've been really listening to a lot of harsh black metal lately, and this has been kind of a cool little record. The glow in the dark shit's all on the inside too, so pretty solid. It's on I can't read the damn record label because I'm old and my eyes are fucked and it's dark in here, so yeah, that's not happening. But The Ancient Spells of the Past, Corpatuli. I've spent about 5 spins with this thing. It's grown on me quite a bit. The songs are interesting. He doesn't just focus on blasting fast like a lot of the Finnish scene does. There's a lot of slower passages and stuff. It's interesting. It's a solo guy doing, harsh black metal. I think there's a drummer enlisted on this too, so it's not just a drum machine or computer drums, but it's solid. It's solid. And it's kind of a minefield when you're digging through the Finnish scene trying to find something that's not sketch. And as far as I know, this isn't sketch. It's always a crapshoot with Finland for some reason, but solid record. It's not.
Somebody will tell you. They'll hunt you down and tell you.
Yeah, that's fine. I can take it. I'm not scared. But anyway, it's been an enjoyable one. Been listening to a lot of Finnish black metal lately, and that one has been a fun discovery for sure. Okay, Melanie.
Well, since we're talking about black metal, let me just grab one really quick. One that I didn't expect to actually like as much as I did this year, and it's, I don't even know how to say this band's name. Vaijadude.
Yeah,
couldn't tell you.
That's a tough one.
Oh, those guys. Yeah. Those guys.
Out on Century Media. This is their 4th album. They had like a 3-album themed previously, or it was like just literally titled 1, 2, 3. And then they released this one. I think this is their best one so far. Blistering, screeching black metal is the best way. Chaotic. I don't know. That's probably the best way to explain it. There's always blood at the end of the road is what it's called, the album title. So I can at least now pronounce that album title. I think it's yeah, I don't know. I've tried. I've watched reviews and every single person has said it differently. I was trying to find a interview of the band to see if they say their name and it's all in a different language. So I gave up. But yeah, it's really an album. He's got a very high pitched screaming style, almost very like shrill, I guess you could say, kind of just makes you cringe just a tiny bit when you first hear it. Yeah, it's just a strange name, but great album. Not a fan of the price that I paid for this though, unfortunately, because Century Media sucks with that.
Oh my god, they're so bad.
So bad. I think I spent $40 on this with shipping, which is just
ouch.
ridiculous. But I did it. It was, the beginning of the year when I was pre-ordering so much shit, and then I stopped because I was getting ridiculous. But this is one of the ones that stuck out to me. Again, I don't really know a whole lot. I don't even know where they're from. I'm so bad at that stuff. Normally, I research that before I talk about it, but I did not do that for this stream tonight. We do, yeah.
All right, Alan.
All right. Well, let's stick to some sort of indigenous black metal stuff. Someone mentioned this one in the chat earlier. It's like, oh yeah, I just got that recently. And I've been playing it a lot this week. It is the Black Braid album, which I think is just titled Black Braid 1. So indigenous black metal from New York, one-man band project. I think his wife helps with things at times. I think she's credited. I only have this as a download. I haven't actually picked up a physical copy yet, which is why I'm just holding up my phone. Wasn't sure what this would sound like, and this was very much a sort of stumble into it blind by. I don't even remember how it popped up on Bandcamp, but it was probably one of those, oh, if you like this, you might also like. I was like, well, it looks interesting. Let's click. Ooh, yeah, let's buy that. It's not exactly what I expected, just from the description of it. I was figuring on something maybe more woodsy, thin, lo-fi black metal, and it's not really that at all. It's got a very strong, robust production to it, very forceful sound. The vocals are kind of a raspy type sound. It's almost kind of more in line overall with some like Swedish melodic death metal. There are parts of it that sound like more sacramentum than Dark Throne or Burzum or anything like that. So it wasn't what I expected, but if anything, I'm pleasantly surprised. It's got a very strong sound to it. It's relatively short. It's about 6 songs, 36 minutes, but that works quite well. It comes in, it delivers really strong, and it wraps up. It doesn't pad out the length with a bunch of unneeded stuff. There's a couple of instrumental tracks. There is some, Native American, instrumentation here and there, flutes and things like that, some acoustical sections. But it all fits together quite well. The intense tracks are very strong. Just another reference point. At times, it reminds me a lot of like early God Dethroned more than any kind of traditional black metal big name band. But yeah, very impressive. So, sort of a random blind buy that's I've just been playing over and over for a good chunk of this week, and I'll be looking to go ahead and pick up some kind of physical copy of it as well as soon as I can. The band has done one single before this. Read a couple of interviews. The guy mentions being influenced by acts like Panopticon, things like that, and his vibe seems to be that he's not really there to promote any kind of left. He's like, I'm kind of sick of all the, this band's a right-wing band, this band's a left-wing band. He's like, here's some black metal about nature stuff. Take it for what you will. And, that's it. I'm done. So I was like, okay, I can appreciate that. So yeah, Black Braid. I don't know if it's on people's radars much yet or not. But if not, and anything I just said sounds the least bit interesting, go check them out on Bandcamp. They had a lot of different merch packages, at least for the pre-order, which I didn't do, and now I wish I had. So yeah, check them out and see what's still available. If nothing else, you can still download it, and it will sound just fine that way too. So Melanie, you think it sounded like you had heard this one?
Yeah, I only know about it because of a group of friends that have talked about it several times, and I actually just listened to it a couple of days ago. There's a lot of things I've just not listened to. People have told me like, "Oh, this came out," and I just haven't been able to sit down and do it. But I listened to it the other day; it was really good. I haven't ordered it yet, but I probably will end up buying it if I can find find it. I don't know if I'm pretty sure it's sold out. I think I've seen that it's sold out, but it's gotten a lot of
Wouldn't be
good,
surprised. Yeah.
it's gotten a lot of really good reviews. I've seen a lot of people praising it, so that's good.
Yeah, it's good to see that. Yeah, somebody did something nice quality debut project, and people are giving it some love. That's awesome.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, Marty, your turn.
Okay, I still don't know quite what I think of this yet. Here we go. I can't read the damn. Eternal Fanfare by Holder. I like it. I really liked her last album. I thought it was really, really exceptional. She really came a long way. I mean, she's always been stripped down raw black metal. The last album, it seems like it really came together. The songwriting really picked up a notch. The production was really good. This is good. I like it. It's just that it's a lot more brutal than I thought it was going to be. I mean, her vocals have dropped a lot. She's got a more of a deathly growl going on here. The music's a little more aggressive. Again, I don't know. I like it. I didn't dislike it. I've only listened to it twice, but not going in the direction I thought it was going to go. I think all the touring, I mean, this came out before they went on the tour, but they've been touring their asses off, and constant abuse, daily abuse of vocals like that will make them get deeper and more fucked up for sure. But I don't know. I like it. I need to spend a little bit more time with it. It's just an EP, a little tide you over until the full length comes. She's quite a prolific artist. So she puts out a lot of stuff, singles and 7 inches or mini CDs and stuff. So now she's on $20 spin, and things are probably going to take off pretty well, especially with touring. But it's good. Check it out. It's not like the last album. It's a little bit more brutal and crusty, I think.
Yeah, it's got because the last album had a lot of like synth black metal sound, which is a lot of her first music that she did, a lot of dungeon synthy stuff.
Yeah.
She's kind of stepped back from that a little bit. With this, I thought I pulled it, but I didn't. So that must mean I am probably on the same page as you, Marty, with this. I haven't listened to it as much as I thought I would, because I
thought I would go crazy with it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
It was just a couple spins. I'm like, okay.
Like, there's not a lot. Like, I don't generally, everybody knows this, I don't generally talk about stuff I don't like on my YouTube channel, because there's just no, just not the kind of channel that I'm going to have. But that album really didn't, I know it's just an EP, so that's why I'm trying not to be too critical with it, because sometimes EPs generally aren't what the album's going to sound like in the future. But 20 Bucks Spin, hey now. Simon, you listen to a lot of 20 Bucks Spin artists. Don't you're not fooling everybody. But yeah, I agree. It's got a little bit of a different sound. I mean, it's good, but it's probably not one that I'll go back to very often. I still prefer her first album that she released.
Collector placeholder.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Damn it. All right, Mel, you're back. So,
the Finnish black metal. This is also an EP, which I did not know that, but this is the new Moonlight Sorcery.
That's a good one.
Piercing Through the Frozen Eternity. This was a Bandcamp thing. It was trending in Bandcamp. It was being praised everywhere on my Instagram feed. So I finally listened to it, and I thought it was fantastic. The album cover obviously reminds me of Emperor because of the blue stuff. But the first song is a lot to take when you first hear it. It's just riffage, like something I'm not really used to in black metal, just guitar soloing. But it's a really, really good. It's really, really good. I'm sad that it's only an EP. I really thought it was a full-length album, and I was going to probably rank this up there as like one of my favorite albums of the year. But people get all weird about that. Like, that's an EP. But yeah, they're from Finland. Don't know if they're sketchy. Have no idea. Didn't look into it. Somebody will tell me. That's their favorite thing to do. I'll get a private Instagram message right after the stream. And they're on Avant-Garde Music, which is interesting because Avant-Garde puts out a lot of things that I'm not huge fans of. But this is really good black metal. It's got a lot of, frosty riffs is what I like to say. It is very good. And as far as I know, this hasn't sold out. So if anybody's looking for it, last I saw, they still had copies of this on Bandcamp. It came from overseas, so the shipping was kind of a pain in the ass. But I think in total, I
That's
think it was
why
only
I
like,
bought the download. I did not buy the record because it's getting to the point where
yeah,
international purchases are just fucking ridiculous. It's the records aren't worth owning it to pay $50-$60 for a record. It's ridiculous.
Sad but true.
And
yeah.
the thing that I've noticed about international vinyl is that they come in really shitty mailers too, and that it grinds my gears. Like I got one yesterday that in the mailer was just so like thin, like you just rip it super easy, and it was bent to shit, and I was upset, but the vinyl, it still plays fine, so I ate the cost. Unfortunately, I just figured it's not going to be worth trying to get them to send me a new cover. But this came in good shape, so that's the good thing. But yeah, this was one of the last, with the exception of a few Misako Unocho ones, this is one of the last like pre-orders that I did for international shipping, because I'm getting tired of paying for it, and I know that $20 Spin got this in their distro. I'd seen it around, and I probably would have waited it out a little bit more, but I was for sure thought that was going to sell out as soon as people started hearing it. So, but yeah, it's really good. And again, they're from Finland, so Finland doing the black metal right with that album.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good one. All right, Ellen.
All right. Well, while we're doing the folks in the chat are asking, is this the black metal of 2022 episode?
I've been in a big black metal mood the last couple months, so
we are in the black metal segment of the evening. Tune in after the commercial break, and we'll talk about wonky power metal bands for a while instead. But before that, I'll cover at least one more sort of black metal release. I really haven't heard anybody talk about this one. It came out kind of quietly under the radar. And I'll admit, I just bought it to support the band. I didn't really expect too much of it, but it actually turned out to be a very, very cool listen. It is Panopticon's Live in Belgium recording that Austin released back in March. Again, it just, kind of quietly slipped out there. It's like, hey, putting this out. I think, some of the money was going to, help a particular cause. And I'm sorry, I don't remember which one off the top of my head. So
Kentucky wildfires. Kentucky wildfires.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking.
Kentucky the Kentucky tornado.
Was it still the tornado thing? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember.
I know Austin was doing stuff, to help victims of the tornadoes back during the winter, but then it's like, this was March. Maybe it was something different by then. Regardless, the money was going to a good cause. I trust Austin to direct the money to a good cause. No doubts about that whatsoever. So I'm like, yeah, I'll buy it. I'm not the biggest fan of a lot of live recordings. But absolutely, I'll pay a fair amount to that since the money's going in a good direction, and check out what it sounds like. And it's actually a very cool set. It's an acoustic set. It was recorded in some big fancy chapel in Europe that has, apparently it's like a worldwide global recognition for having some of the best acoustics of any building in the solar system. And it does sound really, really cool. So it's the kind of thing I figured, I'll probably put it on, play it once, and that's that. That's fair. I don't mind doing that, to help a good cause. But no, I actually, have, played this, several times. It's good music just have on in the office in the background when I'm grading or dealing with some other stuff. So yeah, cool live set by Panopticon. If you want to hear an acoustic take on some stuff, there's several tracks from the 2-album set. I always butcher the album title, but help me out there, Marty. And the Woods, before people messed up the Woods. So one album was the
Scars
Black
of Man on the Once
Scars.
Nameless Wilderness. Yeah,
there we go. Thank you. Could not get it out to save my life. But yeah, several tracks from like the Americana half of that 2-album set and such. If you missed this one by chance, and judging by the lack of discussion I've seen around it, most people might have. It's a cool release. It's definitely worth checking out. It's not just a gimmick. It's not a lo-fi recording that he put out or anything. It's actually got a really cool sound to it and kind of a different take on the material. So yeah, even when it comes to live albums, Panopticon does it better than most other folks do.
Yeah, it's some cool guest appearances. Don Anderson from Egalox on there.
Oh, that's right.
The guy from Darman Farga, I can't remember how to pronounce the name, plays cello on it. Jan from Volgafluster sings Poncho and Lefty with Austin. Very cool. It's a cool little live set for sure.
Yeah, it's a nice release. As far as I know, I don't think there was a physical release for it.
No, it's just digital. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still it's worth the price. And hey, if you can afford it, add a few extra dollars to help out the causes Austin are supporting.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that came out this year. I totally didn't see that. So I'll have to go check it out.
Okay, the last $20 spin thing I'm going to show for this thing is, how would you expect? I'm going to give $20 spin props for trying to broaden their horizons a little bit. I'm a fan of this band. I really like the debut album, and it's Black Magnet, Body Prophecy.
It's good.
This is pretty much industrial with a little bit of metal injected in there. It's a one-man project. The last album really kind of opened my eyes because the songs are really good, really interesting. It's really dark. It's really well layered. It's really caustic at times with the the metal inclusion in there. This one I've only spun a few times. I don't have my head fully wrapped around it, but it's just as good. It seems just as good. Again, it's predominantly industrial with some metal guitars and influence like that. But yeah, I dig this band, and I was psyched to get a pre-order for this one for sure. I haven't bought a lot of $20 spin releases this year because they definitely have a sound, which is cool, and I'm not always in the mood for that sound. But stepping outside the box a little bit with a band like this, and yeah, I thought I would salute it for try to encourage that exploration for sure.
There was a review of their last album. I don't remember who wrote it, but they said it was going to be the next 9 Inch Nails, and I kind of was like,
"Nah,
that's
I don't
stretch.
get that. It seems a little bit more underground than that to me."
And I feel like that kind of strayed people away from listening to it because of those words.
It was someone that reviewed it that doesn't have a very wide palette of industrial,
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't either. My palette of I listen to industrial, but I'm not like completely invested in it like people that are just into industrial. But I've experimented a bit with it, but yeah, I guess 9 Inch Nails is the easy one to pick, or Ministry. I mean, you could say Ministry, 9 Inch Nails. But anyway, what you got, Melanie? You're next.
So since we're on a $20 spin, chat, this has been probably going to be a top 3 for me this year for sure. The new Psalm Plantley. Couldn't even tell you what the name of that title is. Couldn't even tell you. So a little bit of a background. The band, if you don't know what Psalm Plantley means, it's basically a skull rack. It's like ancient Aztec skull rack. It's pretty much the general theme around this band, as you can see right there. And they came out with an EP on Transylvania Recordings a couple of years ago, like two years ago now, which is where I knew them from. James from Transylvania had sent me one of their tapes when I started first listening to his releases, and it's death doom metal. Very, very good death doom metal. They do it really, really well. Just I don't know. It's a really great album. Probably something people have to be kind of in the mood for, I would say, just because death doom is like that for a lot of people. But for the most part, it's a very well put together album. It's their first full length. It goes by really fast. I will say that. I almost thought it was an EP at first because I was so immersed into it, and it was over. But it's a really, really good album. So if you're looking for a new death doom band, definitely, yeah, that's right. Brian also plays with Chibalba. I can never say their name correctly. I'm so bad at this stuff, but yeah, I actually Googled how to say their name. So at least when I talked about it, I would at least say it for the most part. But yeah, this is a really great album. So if you're into death doom metal, you really like that, that slow, dirgy build up of songs, you'll love this album. It's definitely good. It's good job. $20 spin. I'm glad they picked them up and they didn't ruin them as a lot of people were thinking that was going to happen.
I don't think they're ruining bands. They just pick bands
No.
that are within their, that they like, and it tends to be a certain sound,
And they have success.
I mean, there's a Bindrun sound too. It just is. It's just kind of the way it goes. But all right, Alan, you are up.
I am up. All right. Well, some folks have asked about this one in the chat as well. So let's go ahead and bring up Immolation's Acts of God. You know what you're going to get with an Immolation album, pretty much. So there's no surprises here. Very heavy, very, very, very consistent. It's very heavy, but very good musicianship on top of everything. Immolation stands out for me because of the songwriting quality. They write songs that even though they're very brutal, extreme type of metal, you remember them. They stick with you. It's not just hit you over the head for a few minutes, go to the next track, hit you over the head for a few more minutes. The songs have memorable parts, identity. They're just very, very well written. Really solid album. Is it as good as Atonement? No, I don't think so. But it's a good follow-up to Atonement at the same time. It's not like it's a major letdown or anything. It's just like, this is a solid album too. It's just not quite on that same level as their previous.
Atonement had little moments of experimentation in their sound. They did some atypical Immolation things in the songwriting, which I wish they would have maybe capitalized on a little bit more. But, this album is still really good. It's just, going back to what they know,
Yeah, you're right. Atonement, has, those little flashes, that, do help it stand out a bit. Whereas, this feels like it's, right back, very straightforward. If I have one complaint about Immolation, the lyrical theme does wear thin. This is 11 albums in now. It's just like, okay, we get it. You don't like religion very much. You don't like organized groups of people controlling things. Check, we got it. It's kind of like listening to you go to the old folks' home to visit grandpa, and they're all still sitting around complaining about guys whose hair touches their collar. It's just like, really, guys, you've been bitching about that for 50 fucking years. Get over it. Shut up. Nobody needs to hear it anymore. Now, granted, I don't know what they would sing about if they did change the material, and it's not that big a deal, but it just always stands out to me when I flip through the lyric books. Like, yep, hate religion. Yep, kill religion. Yep, kill priest. Yep, religion bad. Ooh, very bad. Okay, got it. But yeah, again, if the lyrical topics are a bit redundant, they more than make up for it with the really quality songwriting. So it's another really good release from Immolation, and another one that may kind of start to get forgotten since it was an early release this year. But should not be forgotten. Sometimes you just got to go back to the veterans and let them show you how it's done. And Immolation always does a good job.
Yeah, when you made the thumbnail, and I saw the Immolation, I was like, did that come out this year? Because it seemed so and I pulled it out and I looked and I'm like, shit, it did. It seemed like it's been out for so long.
Yeah, exactly. I had to double check a few things myself. I had one. Yeah, there's oops, nope, that's not the right year. Can't put that in there.
I will say that you can tell that it's a pandemic album. You can tell they just kept writing and writing and writing and writing, because it's a long album to sit and process, and it's a beating from beginning to end. So
yeah,
I mean, I could have lived with maybe 3 less songs and maybe an EP afterwards, but it's still great. It sounds. None of the songs are bad. It's just a lot to take in one sitting,
Yeah, with it's 13 songs and 2 instrumentals, so running time is still only 52 minutes, which for that much
it just feels fucking long.
But no, I agreed. It is. It's maybe an album to break up into a couple of listings instead of one long sitting.
All right,
Marty, what you got next?
Oh, what do I have next?
I don't know. What do you have next?
You know what?
He doesn't have anything. We're doomed.
Let's go here. So this rules. I know Alan's still processing and on the fence about it. But I've got about 4 spins into this, and it's really starting to click with me. The ballad on here, Let It Be No More. Oh, my favorite song on here. Just the vocal melody in the chorus. Very atypical and very powerful and a little melancholic. Very, very, very good. Another song, Secrets of the American Gods, really stands out to me, and also Life Beyond the Spheres. It's a lot more aggressive. It's a little bit throwback. You can kind of tell they wrote this one for the fans. So they're coming off of a 2 CD set of orchestrated Blind Guardian songs with no metal. So you can kind of tell their next plot was going to be, their next plan was to be go back to the roots. And it's here. There's a lot of aggressive, fast songs, a lot of, fast double bass, great guitar work, a lot of tremolo, palm muted tremolo type of picking. Very cool. I really like this record a lot, and I think it's going to grow on me the more I spin it.
I've never listened to Blind Guardian.
Oh ever. My God, Mel, we gotta. You're missing out some stuff.
She is missing. She's completely missing out.
She is missing. She's off the show. Yep. Well, that was a mistake.
That's strike number 1, Missy.
I admittedly saw them. Was it Blackened? One of those big festivals. Did they play, or Bloodstock? I don't remember. It was one of those big festivals. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I was not in the mood for that type of music. And so I kind of just wrote them off forever after that. It was a long time ago. No. So yeah. And then kind of was like, everybody keeps talking about this band, and they're like, you love Halloween, how do you not like Blind Guardian? And I was like, well, I'll give them a listen someday. And they came out with a new album this year, and I was like, I should probably listen to them. I still have not yet. It's one of those things I just need to get around to.
We're gonna have to have an intervention, Ellen.
Yeah, and of course it'll be one of those things where I'll probably listen to it, fall in love with it, and only buy that stuff and only talk about it, and then I'll get a million messages about how I thought you loved death metal, and then we'll go through the whole cycle again, which is currently happening now because I've been listening to a lot of grindcore and hardcore, and people are ragging on me for it. So yeah, I'm sure that'll happen.
There's a cautionary tale here for people. If you're going to go start your own YouTube channel, be very cautious of what you name your channel, because
I'm learning that
Melanie loves only death metal and nothing else. Fuck everything else. Everything else sucks. That's the name of my channel.
I literally I have a podcast that's going to be uploaded next week. I started a podcast where the first episode is just me talking for like an hour about several things that I've wanted to talk about on the channel, but it wasn't around like showing off music. And that's the first one, is like, I regret naming my YouTube channel this now for that reason alone. It's for all the people that cannot move on from it. Even my Instagram, like, people really get upset. And it's to the point now where I just call them out on Instagram because I'm getting tired of it. Just
change the name. I need to do that to this channel too. Marty Worm channel. It's more heavy metallurgy than Marty Worm at this point.
Yeah, so. And I'm a person that gets really bored easily with certain things like logos and stuff like that. So I'll probably have to get a whole new logo and stuff like that made. But yeah, I've been thinking about it, or starting a second channel and then watch that one. Will probably get more views. Because
don't do that because it's just too much to build them up. You know how that is.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, I don't really care about that, but yeah, that's been the thing. Like, and I was talking about this the other day with Merciful Fate and King Diamond. I think that for some reason that is when I started to show off a little bit more of the different types of metal I listen to. And that was when I started to get probably the more harsher critics, which is interesting because you would think it would be the opposite. People love King Diamond and Merciful Fate. But that was the demographic of my channel are those.
It's younger. You have a younger demographic, which is fine. Sure. I mean, you gotta, they'll realize eventually if you want to continue on, you got to have diversity in your listening, or you're going to burn out.
Oh,
you're going to burn out.
Yeah, the green bean casserole situation probably didn't help that night. Let's be honest. It may be on us.
Think about that still from time to time.
Oh man, I'm fucking. You mentioned I want some right now. Oh god.
Thanksgiving's
maybe
coming.
Lucifer will deliver some to your door if King had some leftovers.
Yeah. Let's do it. All right, Mel, you are up. I think. Yeah, I just talked about Blind Guardian.
Yeah. All right. I'll talk about one that probably you guys may not have heard, but I know a lot of people that are probably watching this have. And this is Worm Rot. Earache Records, their newest album. What is this called? Hiss? Yeah, Hiss. So Grindcore. There we go. Their fourth album, their last album, Voices, was incredible. And that was the first album that I ever heard by them. I think, are they from Indonesia? I might have gotten that completely wrong. Don't quote me on that. But unfortunately, their vocalist right now, I believe he just left the band. So, which is kind of sad because he's an incredible vocalist, just incredible vocalist, very crazy, chaotic. But I think for this album, there's a lot of elements and layers that they added into it that I think a lot of people probably were a little bit thrown off with. There's a little bit of punkiness in there that you didn't really hear too much on past records. But this has gotten a lot of hype, especially within my little circle of friends on Instagram. People have been talking about it and saying it's album of the year for them. And I wouldn't quite go that far for me, but it is one that I've listened to a ton. And it's loud. It's a loud album. When you listen to it, you gotta listen to it loud. It is not an album that you just have on in the background and just playing. You gotta put this on and just crank it and just do nothing but just listen to it, because otherwise it'll be over in like 10 minutes because it's a grindcore album. But it is really, really good. Again, Earache Records, they have relevant bands. I just don't think people quite realize. And I did the evolution of, I'll pre-order the CD. I got the CD, then I got the tape, and then finally I was like, this is a vinyl for me. So I got the vinyl too. Singapore, that's where it is. Thank you, John. I was so off with that. So yeah, it's really, really good. And again, if you're into that chaotic grindcore, you'll love this. I wouldn't recommend this being your first grindcore album you ever listen to, though, in that regard, but it is very good. So again, if you're looking for new grindcore, this is good. But again, the vocalist just left, so I'm not sure if they found a new one, or if they're going to move on or not, or anything like that. But he's got an incredible chaotic voice. I don't know how they do this stuff. It's insane how these guys sing.
He'll catch up with you. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I've heard a few people mention that one, and yeah, everyone seems to be pretty big on that one.
Yeah.
All right. You are up, sir.
Okay. Well, I wasn't going to talk about it because we are working on a Blind Guardian episode in the near future. So I thought we might save it for that, but since Marty brought it up, I guess I'll talk about it for a minute too. I've listened to this probably 10 or 12 times so far. I'm not completely sold on it, to be honest. It's certainly not a bad album. And as Marty described, it is sort of a throwback to their older sound. It's much less symphonic. You know, they're really playing down those orchestral symphonic elements a lot and trying to play up, you know, the speed and the aggression a bit more, like you would think of with, you know, especially the first 3 or 4 albums. And they do that pretty well. You know, the songs definitely deliver that way. We all heard that on the singles that got released ahead of time, that, you know, they were going in that direction. And the whole album does play out that way. There are some issues I'm having with this album, however. One thing is that the songs do not stick well. And for a Blind Guardian album, that's a pretty big sin. If after half a dozen listens, I can't hum a single bit of any of the tracks, something's a little off. Part of the problem, you know, I've been literally picking through it song by song, trying to figure out what's going wrong. A lot of these songs to me right now, and I'll play it more, and maybe it's just going to need a little extra time to sink in. But right now, a lot of these songs feel very interchangeable. A ton of these tracks start out the same way. There's always kind of some soft part at the beginning. Maybe they're whispering. Maybe they're playing a little bit of acoustic stuff. Maybe there's a little bit of a quiet symphonic element. And then it gets loud and play fast. And then they get to the chorus, and the choruses are all structured the same way, where Hansi sings one line, the chorus sings together. Hansi sings another line, the chorus sings together. And it completely, there's no catchiness to it at all. It's just, he sings a line, everybody sings a line.
Nailed it, by
he
the
sings
way.
a line, they sing a line. none of it. And you get to them, and it's just, it doesn't stick. There's no big vocal hook in the choruses. There's no big riff or guitar hook in the choruses. The music's just kind of sitting back while they do this back and forth vocal ping pong. And it's not like it's just one or two songs. It's like half the album or more seems to do that. And as such, it really feels like, a lot of these songs, maybe one's a little more aggressive and this one's a little less aggressive, but it's all shades of gray. Let's see. What have we got here, Ryan?
Alan just made my top 10 vocalist of 2022.
I like Tommy Karavik. I also have a grindcore project I'm working on the side. I got to work on the throat muscles a little bit to get the timbre just right, but we're getting there. We're getting there. But yeah, like Marty, you mentioned the ballad "Let It Be No More" as like a real standout, and it is a standout because it's the only song that doesn't follow that pattern. It's the one time they step away from that pattern and do something slightly different. So yeah, it does stand out, but it also comes really late in the album. It's track 7. So you end up with 6 songs in front of it that are kind of samey. They're not bad songs. They have, it's still Blind Guardian. It doesn't flat out suck or anything. It just feels like they put a lot of focus on like, you want us to, do something fast and heavy. Okay, let chug, 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 chug. Big guitar solo, and the soloing's amazing. And oh yeah, we needed to put some catchy vocal parts in. Hansi's voice always sounds good. I like him as a vocalist, but it just feels like they didn't write anything that has any hook to it at all for these tracks. So yeah,
they went for more aggressive. That was
they went
decision. Yeah,
and see, and again, yes, it's 30 years ago. 30 years ago, they could do both. Tales from the Twilight World, Battalions of Fear, they could write a very fast, very aggressive album, and you instantly were singing along with every song on those. Every chorus was this big sing-along moment, with huge hooks. You only had to hear them once or twice, and you'd remember them for, ages. 12 listens in, and I cannot sing a single song, a single chorus on this album. Yeah, I might be able to fake my way through Secret of American Gods, which a good call out there too, Marty. That is one of the better tracks on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got fun subject material. American Gods is the Neil Gaiman album. Damnation is the Chadrian, which is that the Witch Killer trilogy? King Killer trilogy? It's another fantasy trilogy, fill in the fantasy artist and stuff. It's one that, they hadn't touched on before. So it's the kind of material you're used to Blind Guardian doing. It does feel, like a nice kind of return to less symphonic, more faster, aggressive material, which is what fans have asked for a while. They've gotten pretty mired in the symphonic stuff in the past 10 years or so. But man, I really want some of these songs to stick with me by this point, and they just haven't. So I'm going to give it some more spins. But I'm starting to settle into the fact that I think this is going to be an album that's a little bit on the disappointing side for me personally. So that's my early take on Blind Guardian. Check back in several weeks down the road. Marty and I will be lining up a guest to come on, and we'll be talking about Blind Guardian quite a bit. And we'll have Melanie backstage, and we'll set her down Clockwork Orange style with the eye things and all of that. And by the end of it, yes, any grindcore album will make her like flinch in terror, and she'll just walk around, humming "Happy Halloween" forever and ever.
So what you're saying is, don't start with that album.
I would not start with this album.
I think you might like that album. It's a little bit more aggressive. I mean, if she's heard.
There's better aggressive Blind Guardian albums.
There is. This is true. This is true.
I would, if you want an aggressive Blind Guardian, start with Battalions, Tales from the Twilight World, Follow the Blind, even maybe Somewhere Far Beyond. That's where they start to get a little less aggressive, but I would not start with this one. At the end of the day, I have a feeling this one's going to end up somewhere around Night of the Opera style for me, where it's just like, it was a decent attempt, but it ended up falling a bit short. But anyway, so I put it aside and I started playing a lot of Black Braid, and I'm glad I did. I will leave it there for now until we have our Blind Guardian episode. All right, Marty.
All right.
Let's move on to what you got next.
Ryan.
Right.
Registering the Melanie Loves Blind Guardian account now.
I probably would have 1 million subscribers. I guarantee it. If I made
Probably.
something like that.
A girl likes Blind Guardian? Subscribe. Yeah. Yep. All right. Where are we going? We're doing this. Let's talk about some pretty technical, harsh, cool death metal. This is Half All That Was Promised.
Oh, that's good.
This album is pretty crushing. Very modern sounding, perfect production. I've shown this on here before and mentioned that it reminded me of Sulfur Aeon a bit. What the fuck are they? German death metal band. It's just very highbrow, a lot of layers going on. There's just a lot of stuff being thrown at you here, and it's pretty. And this, like I said, they're very similar to Sulfur Aeon. I think Sulfur Aeon's got more of a dark atmosphere to them. These guys are just more aggressive. Yeah, I got this record and it kind of kicked my ass. It hit right at the right time. I was in the mood for this. They're a death metal band that stands out from the glut of bands that are all like super down tuned and just chugging along in a murky, polluted sound, like if they're in a cavern or something. Very technical, aggressive. They hurl these riffs at you, and they make them sting, which is very cool. This is on Willowtip, I believe. Yeah.
Yep.
Solid record. I recommend it. You're not going to get a lot of melody out of this. It's just a lot of out of key, disjointed, and fierce riffage. It's very good though. Very well composed. A lot of interesting layers. It's good. Good riffs. Solid, brutal, aggressive, modern album.
That's one I've been meaning to check out and just haven't got around to. It's on the Bandcamp to buy page, but just hasn't been bought yet.
All right. Melanie, you are back. Melanie Loves Blind Guardian channel. That one's good. Yep.
All right. So this is no surprise. I've talked about this several times already. The new Pharmacist album. What's it called? Flourishing Extremities of Unspoiled Mental Grounds. The longest album title ever. So Pharmacist releases a lot of stuff, but this is an actual full-length album. And it had the addition of Andrew from Rip to Shreds on here doing guitars. And I think that created an element that was desperately needed, in my opinion, because a lot of Goregrind I get tired of and bored with after a while. And this just, it elevated the songwriting and the ultimate album as a whole. It's not just the normal Goregrind stuff that you had been hearing in the past. Like, not to say that the past stuff wasn't good. Like, I really liked the music that they did with the split with Fluids and stuff like that too. But this is a very, very good album. It's very fun. And I was hooked as soon as I heard it. I have one negative thing about it. And there's just, I guess, spotlight on here that I was a little bit disappointed about, but I won't go into too much detail on why.
I'm with you. I won't even check it out because of it.
Anyway. And I did not know that was a thing. But I don't. It's not as present. And it's easy to just miss. But there's some personal reasons around that. But it's on Severed Records. That's where the CD is, and eventually, I'm sure there'll be a vinyl. And there's probably 1,000 tapes. And Pharmacist represses their stuff consistently, all the time. Like, if you miss it, don't worry. It'll come out somewhere else in a different format. But yeah. It's really good. It's one that stuck with me this year. It's one that I still listen to quite a bit. And again, I think Andrew from Rip to Shreds added a really good element to it that I didn't think needed really too much. But now that he's there, he's a phenomenal guitarist. I think he's a really good musician. So it's really good. So if you haven't heard it yet, check it out. Like I said, I'm sure it's somewhere. It's on Bandcamp, and I'm sure there's 1,000 ways to order it.
All right. Alan.
All right. Well, since I just complained about a power metal album for several minutes, let's show a power metal album I won't complain about for several minutes. The new Seven Kingdoms, Zenith. This is a Florida power metal band, and early on, they definitely were going for sort of a Blind Guardian sound. That's one of their bigger influences. It's pretty straightforward fantasy power metal. The name comes from George R.R. Martin novels. They've never gotten a ton of traction in the underground. They've had to sort of scrape to get their last couple of albums out. They've done crowdsourcing to help raise money for production and such. But the albums have turned out sounding pretty good, so they know what they're doing, and they've gotten enough money to make it work. And the albums have been pretty good. This one, I was kind of leery of. The singles they released were a little odd in different ways.
Yeah. I saw one of them. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it was one of those things, and it's on here. The last song on here, it's a cover of Joan Jett's I Hate Myself for Loving You. And that was one of the songs they decided to do a video release for on YouTube. It's kind of like, okay, want to be European power metal, badasses covering Joan Jett from the 80s. Little odd choice there. Not what I would have gone with. But beyond that, and maybe like one other song on here, it actually mostly is, just another solid dose of European power speed metal. Things that stand out. The other single they've done is a very good song. It's called Diamond Handed, which is a weird title and has some very weird lyrics until you realize it's all about cryptocurrency. And so I have no idea what's going on there. I don't know if the band is into crypto, if they're sort of trying to romanticize it, or maybe they're sort of trying to poke fun at it a little bit. I have no idea. But yeah, things like Diamond Handed and the references to the moon, it's all the slang terminology that comes up with crypto bros who mine Bitcoin all the time. So it's a great song, just very weird subject matter for the band. A lot of the other tracks are a little bit more in their wheelhouse of fantasy based power metal. There are a few tracks that are leaning a little bit more towards an 80s kind of hard rock, pop rock party kind of sound. Love Dagger, not a good name for a song. It very much feels like something that would have they wanted played on MTV in 1986. Not a terrible song, but it's a little out of character for the band. But there's still plenty of really good epic power metal moments too. Chasing the Mirage is good. Magic in the Mist is quite good. Life Signs is a good one. So there's more than enough on here to keep folks interested. The band's vocalist, she does not have the widest range, but she has a very strong voice. It sounds very good for this material. It's not a Nightwish type singer or anything like that. She's actually got a very strong, powerful voice, which fits the material. So yeah, at the end of the day, it gets a thumbs up. A little different from previous outings, but not so much that it really detracts at all. And compared to the Blind Guardian album, this I played 2 or 3 times and I could have sung half the album, which is kind of what I want this type of happy power metal to do for me. It needs to be sticky. It's got to be catchy and live in your brain long after you hit the stop button. I've played the Blind Guardian album easily 4 times more than this one. Can't tell you nothing about it. But yeah, this one I could sing, the choruses to easily 6 or 7 of these tracks right now. I'll save. We'll put that behind the paywall for the after hours episode or something. But yeah, so Seventh Kingdoms, Zenith, a little different. They do seem to be, trying a few different things. I don't know if they're going to migrate in a different direction or if they're just trying to incorporate a few different sounds, but
works out. Supposed to be their last album?
I do not know.
Different band, or is that a different band I'm thinking of? Oh no,
I haven't heard anything that the band is breaking up there. They just put this out a couple of months ago. So as far as I know, they're still intend to be a going concern moving forward.
Okay. I am next.
Was there floating pyramids on that album cover?
It is very much Hypocrisy's album cover, just much more
Aurora
pink.
Borealis.
Yep.
Every Aurora Borealis album ever. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, very, very pink on the back as well.
Okay. Where am I going to go here? Let's do this one. Again, this is an album I don't love, and I really don't know why I'm still buying their records, although they're decent. They're good. And Creator, Hedu Morales.
I knew you were going to say that.
I just, they've changed so much, and that's fine. It's just, this band meant so much to me as I was younger. It's kind of hard to cut the cord on, certain bands, and I've liked them. They had a middle 90s era that was rough. Endorama was really rough, and some albums that came out that time just were out of character for them. But the last album sounded like a Swedish melodic death metal record in a lot of ways, with Milla singing on it. This album, there's still some of that. It's maybe a little less obvious. I think this is just modern Creator. They've evolved into a very huge European band. They're playing all the festivals, and they're playing for that crowd. I mean, this sounds like a very European band at this point. It doesn't sound like dark, aggressive thrash anymore. It's just very polished, very well written, great guitar work, and some good songs on here. I've only listened to this like 5 times, and it's all been in the vehicle. So, I mean, nothing really jumps off looking at the track listing, but it's a solid record. I like it up front better than I liked the last album. The last album grew on me. This one I liked pretty much right away, but it's one of those deals where new Creator, I'll spin it for a couple months, and then it goes on the rack, and it'll probably never get played again, which is, you're kind of moving away from the nostalgia. The nostalgia era is kind of getting out of my veins a little bit, and I'd rather go listen to that than I would rather listen to this. But killer cover by the guy that did the Halloween cover. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but yeah, it's good. It's a solid Creator record. I do like it. I'm not going to sit here and talk bad about it, because they've done the work, they put in the time, and they're reaping the rewards of their evolution. They're a very popular commercial band now, which is fine.
It's good. I pre-ordered it, and then it came, and it sat for a really long time. I didn't listen to it, and then I listened to it a couple of days ago after I saw Alan's thumbnail. I was like, oh shit, that's right, they did release a new album this year. It is good, but I'm much like you. I do tend to go back to their older albums and listen to those more.
Yeah.
There are a few of their new albums that I do still listen to from time to time, but this one I'm in the same boat as you, where I bought it because I have everything else. It's a band that I'm not going to detach myself from.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, I might surprise myself and listen to it more than I think, but it's not terrible. Some people are just
it's not a terrible. It's a solid record, and people shitting on it are just jaded or what.
Just
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good, solid record. There's good songs on it, and playing Milla sounds great. It's all there. It's just not, it's just not the old stuff, which bands evolve. And, there's only 2 original members in the band now, one of which being a drummer. So
2022 has had a new release from at least 3 of the German Big 4. I think Sodom's the only one that hasn't put out something new. Am I correct?
I don't know about Sodom.
Sodom has like a greatest.
It's a greatest hits. I thought
I think it is 40 Years of War, the greatest hell of Sodom. So,
yes.
Yeah. But yeah, Destruction obviously had a new one, and I'm pretty sure Tankard did too, although I have not heard it at all.
No, really?
Well, let me check. Maybe I'm making this up.
Did I miss that?
I have not seen or heard it, but I thought someone mentioned that they did get something out. We have, Pavlov's Dogs.
Oh my god!
Tankard on
September 30th. It comes out in a couple of weeks.
So this is one that's not quite out yet, but is coming, and that's something. Yeah, we'll touch on those later. So we will have a new album by 3 of the 4.
Sodom did a new album. John Hines here says that they did. I think they did one in 2021.
Yes, they had something new last year, so it makes sense they probably wouldn't to this year.
All right.
Okay.
Interesting. The album cover is great, by the way. You should Google it. It's pretty good. Tankard's album covers are always so good. Okay. I have an album that people are probably going to be like, what the fuck? That is not death metal.
Here we go.
But the new Wilderun, Epigon, progressive death metal, I guess you could say, progressive metal, mostly progressive. I think it's more progressive metal. This album, no bullshit, is probably going to be my favorite album this year. Came out right after my uncle passed away this year, which was really heartbreaking for me because I was very close with him. It ended up being one of those albums where I just did not want to listen to death metal. I did not want to listen to grindcore. I did not want to listen to anything else. And it came out and I listened to it and it's a beautiful album. The vocalist has amazing vocals. It's orchestral. It's got epic moments. It's got slow moments. It's got amazing women vocals in here from time to time. It's a
black
progressive
metal album.
No, it's progressive death metal. I mean,
Okay.
they've got the death metal growls in there, but it's definitely more progressive metal vein. Their first album that came out, or one of their previous album, I don't think it was their first album. Their previous album came out a couple of years ago. That album was fantastic as well. I think I prefer that one a little bit more than this one, but I still love this album. The album cover is exactly what you would expect from this. Like, it's just like the cloudy, earthly. Like, that's pretty much where it stands in regards to sound. But it's very well written. Great musicians. They're from Boston, and if you follow Banger TV, they did a really great review on this too. A lot of the stuff that they talked about on there was pretty much spot on in regards to this album. But yeah, unfortunately, it's a Century Media album. So
you paid $50 for it.
I actually did pay $50 for it because it's a double LP. So they charged an insane amount. But it was one of those things where I told myself if there was going to be an album that I spent a lot of money on this year, it was going to be one that I absolutely love, and I didn't want to wait for a repress. So, and because when Century Media represses stuff, it doesn't come fast enough, I've noticed. So I just got it. But the hype sticker ironically says the music style is combined with Blind Guardian's Nightfall and Middle Earth. So apparently I should really listen to Blind Guardian if I really like this album. Because that pretty much just sold it right there. But yeah, it's a very, very good record if you're into progressive music. A lot of people don't like prog because the songs are too long and it's too many layers and too many things to pay attention to, but I think it's a very, very good album.
All right. Alan.
All right. Well, if we're doing sort of progressive death metal, then I guess it's time to show Vile Rites, the
so
Ageless. Good. This is really cool. I knew nothing about this. Brian from the Brian Arkham channel sent this to me just in a VCLT package. So I was just like, okay, I got no idea what it is. But yeah, Brian has a pretty good handle on, the kind of stuff I like. So if he sent it to me, there's a reason. And yeah, it turned out to be very, very cool. It's 5 songs, whether you want to call it an EP or a very short album, whatever. But it's kind of interesting as a progressive metal or progressive death metal album because it doesn't feel like one at first. The first couple of times you play it, you're just like, okay, this is just, pretty solid death metal. But then you start noticing there are a lot of progressive elements kind of going on here and there. They're just not putting them way up in your face like your, typical, more techie progressive death metal bands do. A lot of times those bands are all about, again, the wankery, all about, well, let's play this in, 14/7 time, tuned to, E sharp flat minor. And, we'll do it backwards, with some kind of analog recording technology from 1974. It's like, that's cool. Did you write a song? What's a song? These guys wrote death metal first and then kind of spruced it up with a lot of progressive elements. And there's just other little things about the release that work really well. The production's really interesting because everything's very clear on it. You can clearly hear, each instrument. It's all balanced very well. But it still has this kind of slightly muffled sound overall of it. So at first listen, it feels like they're doing sort of, an old school death metal vibe. But when you're listening to it more closely, it's like, but I can still hear everything very clear. They're not just muddying everything up and making it into this big ambient mess. Everything's very nicely separated in there. So it's a really interesting mix of things. New band, really promising start. A couple of the members have connections to some other bands. The one that stood out is I believe it's the bassist is also the bassist in the revamped Vector lineup. I guess they're trying to get Vector back up and running, and he's part of that project also. But yeah, Vile writes The Ageless, a very cool and kind of subtle progressive death metal release. I really like the way they made it progressive, but not too progressive, and the way they made it sound a little, murky and cavernous, but not too murky and cavernous. They really struck a good balance across the board here. So I'll be interested to see what they come out with next.
It's on Desert Wastelands for anybody that's interested to buy it.
That is
a great little underground label.
Yes. Oh, and Carbon Stars. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thanks, Carbon Stars. I tried to type it, a thanks, but there's an error happening. I don't know if my internet's shitting or what. Anyway,
on to you, Marty.
On to me. Okay. Well, I just picked up, for some reason, the latest Becketh Nexamu CD. It's a 2 CD set. It's all in Swedish. I can't read it. Sorry. It's the one with the snow-covered trees on the cover, which is all of them, by the way. They all look exactly the same. Which, the thing with this band is, I like them. They're good. They write good riffs. They got good songs. I've got 4 other of their CDs. This 2 CD set, it's got a bonus EP on it, and it's really unnecessary. I'll be really honest. The black metal songs are pretty solid. There's some more acoustic style songs on here, or ambient or synth, and they're just kind of boring. This could have been 1 CD and been just fine. There's a lot to take in here, and it's all just, solid, aggressive black metal. It's okay. It's good. I need to sit with it a little bit longer. They've got a bunch of stuff out. Very prolific band. One of those bands I don't think I need everything by. Having a smattering of their CD catalog is probably plenty. There's not going to be a whole lot of although I will say their last thing they put out was like a 3 LP set, and what I heard of that was pretty kick-ass. So maybe it's just the material on this that didn't resonate with me that well. I need to spend a little more time with it, but this is solid. It just gets a little bit long-winded. Like I said, 2 CD set. But it is solid Swedish black metal.
I did not know that they released a new album. Man, I'm so behind.
Well, with Melanie Loves Death Metal, it's hard to know other things outside of your focus. You should just change it. Melanie Loves Death Metal in parentheses and other stuff, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I've been thinking about changing it to Melanie Loves Death Metal ... sometimes.
That's perfect.
Do like 2-point font right underneath it. Everybody will just think it's the trademark line or something.
Yeah. All right, Melanie, you are back.
Okay. This is strictly because of Ben, Brain Smasher.
Oh yeah.
Another album.
Too. I have not grabbed it yet.
So another album where he just raved about and talked about. I think he also did a review video for it. I cannot pronounce the name. Not even going to try. They're from Slovakia. But the album cover is essentially what you're getting. It is a mystical folklore black metal album. Takes me back to old Satyricon-ish days.
Stanga Eagle.
Stringo. He said it in his video, and I was like, how did he learn how to pronounce that? But it's got ghoulish sounding vocals. It's got that folklore mysticism in there. It's got that early 90s type of black metal in there, a sound in there. Definitely it is a very good album. I would not have even known what this was if it wasn't for Ben. I saw that it was on Bandcamp, and it was like trending in the black metal realm for a while after he talked about it. So maybe he's the reason for the album sales. But yeah, I got it, and I've been listening to it, and this is so good. So if you're looking for something, a new black metal album, if you like that folklore-ish stuff, like the album cover reminds me of Lord of the Rings. I think if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, you understand why. Definitely something that you should check out. It is very good. Again, I don't know how to say the band's name. Couldn't even tell you. It's spelled Stangrigel. I don't even know. I'm not even gonna try. But yeah, if there's somebody in the chat that knows, link the Bandcamp. But it is very good. I need to talk about it in one of my videos. I've been meaning to, and I just haven't had time to record a collection update.
Okay, Alan.
All right. Next up, Blut aus Nord.
Yeah.
I always get the title of this one wrong too, but Disharmonium Undreamable Abysses. This was a little bit of an impulse purchase when I was at one of the local stores. It was just like, oh, that's already out. It's on the shelf. Yes, I will buy it from my local store. I don't have a lot of history with this band. I've heard the name forever, but just never got around to checking them out. I first checked out their last album, Hallucinogen something.
It's a great
Mushrooms. Yeah, everybody knows the one I'm talking about.
It's a great album.
Ben had talked about it on his channel, so that was one that Ben got me into. It's just like, okay, let's go ahead and check this out. Oh, that's really cool. So when the next one came out, yeah, I went ahead and took a chance on it. This is a cool listen. It's, a very weird listen at the same time, which, what little I know about the band, I guess you should expect them to have kind of weird listens. Reading up about it some, apparently they did some very unusual, production techniques and tricks, especially with the guitars, to really give it this kind of otherworldly, cosmic type vibe. If the artwork is not a giveaway, it's very much meant to be their kind of Lovecraftian themed album. All kinds of, great old ones, tentacles, swirling eyeballs, madness. We all know the Lovecraft theme by now. It's been done once or twice and by other heavy metal bands too. But, Blut aus Nord really do it justice. Something that's very hard to capture about Lovecraft is that it's supposed, all that stuff was supposed to be weird to the point that it's hard to wrap your mind around. And they actually manage that pretty well. With the very strange guitar production makes the sounds really kind of go on, kind of echoey. There are times where between the guitar tricks and the vocal productions, you're actually kind of left questions like, is somebody singing in the background in this part, or am I imagining that? Is it
Definitely
just
singing?
Yeah, and you like
Definitely.
I think they're singing there, but it's really kind of buried. It's very subtle. It kind of blends into everything else that's swirling around. It can really make you second guess yourself, at times, which is exactly what Lovecraft is supposed to do. It's supposed to make you second guess your sanity, because you're kind of seeing and hearing and listening to these things that aren't meant to be, easily perceived by the human senses. And so it's kind of neat that they put the effort in to get that aspect of Lovecraft's lore across while still making it, a pretty interesting listen of an album too. So neat album. I like it, even though it's very unusual. It's not an easy listen whatsoever, but they did something different in the sort of metal band tries to write Lovecraft album vein, and unsurprisingly, they did it very well. They've been at it for a long time, and should come as no surprise they pulled it off nicely.
It's very suffocating. That's probably a good way.
Yes, that's another very good way to describe it.
The one thing about Blut aus Nord is that there are albums here and there that are similar. Like they do themed albums that are similar and they blend together. And then there are albums that sound absolutely nothing like their other ones. And they experiment and they change their sound and they do things differently. And people absolutely either love that or they hate it, and they crap all over the band for that reason. But in general, their first few albums are very like black metal, old school black metal, 90s black metal, great albums, some of their best albums, but they've progressed into this band that just like does what they want and they're good at it. And I like you just, it's hard to hate them for that reason. And I think that album was phenomenal. When I first heard it, I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm in the mood for this right now.
Me
This
too.
is a lot to take in.
That was my first reaction.
But I was so like, I'm one of those people who's like, but I know that I love this band. I'm such a huge fan of this band. Like, I've got to give it a chance and not write it off right away. And I listened to it more and more. And that was one of the first ones I pulled when we were doing the show, is because I wanted to talk about it. So yeah, it's a great album. It just, sometimes you just gotta take some time with it. Some people didn't get it quite at first. Yeah.
But I mean, I know, again, I don't have much history with the band, but I know them by reputation. I didn't expect it to be an easy listen, so I knew it would take a while. And for other folks that also may not know the band's back catalog a lot, a couple of other YouTube channels have recently done sort of deep dives on Blut aus Nord. So Kellen over at Killing for Company has, I think it's like a 3-hour episode on
it's a part one. Part one.
Yeah. And I believe Jeff's channel has one too, or is it Rick's? Somebody else had a big discussion on Blut aus Nord not too long ago.
Well, Jeff was on Kellen's stream.
Okay, so maybe it was a discussion on Rick's channel then. The Dreadful Minutes. There's been a couple of very detailed discussions of Blut aus Nord for folks that aren't really familiar with all the ins and outs of the band. That might be a good starting point to help you figure out which albums you might like and which albums maybe you don't want to start with. Like Melanie said, they seem to have a reputation for going way off course with some albums, but I can't tell you which, but the guys doing those other videos can.
Yeah, their first 2 albums are the more conventional black metal. Even there's a few other ones too. They have 14 albums out, so it's a pretty hefty discography, and then that's not including EPs and splits that they've done. But now is a really good time to get into them and buy their stuff, because they've been repressing everything like crazy. And it's super easy to find. Before they were not easy to find, and they would sell out and you wouldn't be able to find them anywhere. You'd be selling for stupid prices on Discogs, but you can find them on Indie Merch and all those places now. And Deborah Morty's been repressing them, so it's a great album though. I'm glad you liked it. I was not expecting that. I didn't think anybody was going to have that pulled for tonight.
Okay. Well, I'm still in the black metal realm here. I've been in a big black metal thing going on. But these guys, I know them. They're friends of mine. They're a Northern Michigan band. They're called Lanzerath. This is the latest album, An Infinite Instant. I'm going to put the link to the... they just started. It's kind of like a collective of guys. One guy writes all the music, and then there's like 3 singers on this. And there's another band, Oralisk, and there's another band, Draughter. Very prolific guys, and they're very nice. And this shit is just really awesome. Kind of a cool band photo. I have videos on my phone of them lighting themselves on fire accidentally. Anyway, this is very murky, dark, evil sounding black metal, and it's done really well. It's really been cool to watch this project grow from kind of a drunken side project to actually really well considered, interesting underground black metal. The songs are very dissonant, but they still have substance to them. And the vocals of everybody involved are just scathing great. There's even some lower death metal style vocals here and there, but I believe this is their second album, second full length. I don't know. It's escaping me at the moment, but each one has been a definite progression, and this is so far their best. I know he's been working on a new one, so that's coming soon. But yeah, they started a new label called Northern Spire Productions, dealing with only Northern extreme music. I'll put a link in the chat. Anybody wants to check it out. But this is really good, solid black metal. Like I said, it's been cool to hear these guys progress, and they're really doing some very cool stuff. If you're into the dark, evil sounding underground black metal, it's good stuff. Definitely check it out. And here comes the link. I don't know if they'll let me. Yep, they did. All right. Yeah, definitely check them out. Northern Spire Productions. Very good stuff. Lanzerath. Melanie.
All right, I'll take off black metal for just a minute. I do have one or two more black metal albums, but this is technically an EP in a band that has grown on me a lot these last couple of years. Took me a while to get into them, but the new Primitive Man, insurmountable. I don't fucking know. Insurmountable. So this band is very sludgy, doomy death metal with noise in it, and the noise was always a little bit kind of what deterred me from them. For a while, I haven't always been into the noise genre. A lot of people love it. Like Full of Hell is probably the first band that really got me to be okay with it in my music. And this band, again, has grown on me quite a bit this year and last year as well, probably for the last 2 years now. But this EP has probably been one of the death metal albums that I've spun the most this year since it's come out. It's suffocating. It's heavy. It's suffocating. It's crushing. And yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I just absolutely love it. I think this is their best work that they've done up to date, which is crazy to think. I mean, but again, I'm not an early listener of them, so some people might disagree with me on that and say Scorn and Caustic and all their other albums were amazing. But this is so good. And I'm sad, that it's only an EP. I want more. And it was a surprise release on Closed Casket Activities, which if you're familiar with that label, they release a lot of hardcore albums. And so lately they've been dabbling with the death metal stuff too. Also, one of their main members is also in another band called Vermin Womb, which is a grindcore band. It's like the theme of my stuff tonight. They have a new release out this year that's really good too. I don't think that it's fully out yet, but yeah, really, really, really good. It's suffocating. That's the best way I can explain it. And it's got a naked woman on the front. So hopefully, Marty, you don't get taken down for it. I was just now noticed that that's what the album cover was while I'm sitting here waving it around.
It don't matter. It's all good.
So yeah, but the noise is a little bit less on this. I've noticed it's more sludgy death doom for sure.
Okay. Alan.
All right. Let's see. Earlier in the chat, Frank was asking if there was going to be any new wave of British heavy metal tonight. And I said I didn't think so, but I actually do have one that I'll comment on here.
What's up, Jim? How you doing, Jim?
Yeah, I don't have a physical copy of this, so yeah, it was slipped my mind at first. But Satan does have a new album out called Earth Infernal. This is an old new wave of British heavy metal act. You did some classic releases back during the heyday of that period. They stuck around into the mid 80s, changed their sound a little bit. Members were kind of in and out. I think technically the band may have changed its name to Pariah at one point for an album and then came back to Satan. The lineup, is kind of very convoluted through that period. Eventually, they faded off, but came back about 10 years later to a lot of acclaim. They've done about 3 albums. I forget if this is the 3rd or 4th since the comeback. And they've all been pretty highly touted by fans of, new wave of British heavy metal and just, straightforward traditional metal in general. I got to say up front, personally, I am not the biggest fan of Satan. And I know that may be heresy to a lot of folks. It seems like the kind of thing I should gush about. I like a lot of their very early stuff, but it was a very different lineup back then. Yeah, a lot of the stuff they did later on, there were always things about it that just never quite clicked with me as well. That said, I do think this is one of the better albums that they've done since reforming. Even so, I mean, Brian Ross's voice is a little bit light and airy at times. Their drumming always seems to have a funny production where it ends up sounding kind of clangy. The riffage always sounds a little bit loose and noodly. It's just not my band. A lot of folks, will rant and rave that, this is one of the best comeback bands of the entire era. And that's great if people are into them that much. I'm happy folks dig them a lot. This album, it's worth pointing out, yeah, there's some pretty cool songs on this one. I do like this one better than, especially more than the album that came before it. The one before this, I didn't even get all the way through it. I thought it was a real waste of my time, to be frank. But this one's been okay. if you like what Satan has done on their past few albums, you'll probably like this one too. If you're with me in this tiny minority that just feel like you don't see what the big deal has been with the new issues, you don't need to rush out and get this one either. It's better, but they're not doing anything drastically different. So kind of a lukewarm thumb sideways, I guess, on Earth Infernal. That's about the best I can muster for the band.
Okay.
And I'll leave it at that.
I am up again. This one I have not spent a lot of time with. My buddy Zoller sent this to me. I've been checking it out and kind of digging it. Venator with Echoes from the Gutter. Frank was wondering about new wave of British heavy metal. This maybe not that, but it's in the the resurgence of classic heavy metal, traditional heavy metal. This reminds me a bit of a less poppy, not poppy, High Spirits, the band High Spirits from Chicago with our friend Chris. It's really well done. He got a great singer with a very serious mustache, and the riffs are really good. The songwriting is really solid. The soloing is very brisk and good. And this is that old school heavy metal sound that's so popular right now. Venator, Venator, Venator. Hard word to say for some reason. But yeah, it's not breaking any new grounds. It's just completely a nod of appreciation to the past, and even down to the the record, the album cover. Telethon cash praise the beer. Thanks, Carbon Stars. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
If you're into this style of the resurgence of traditional heavy metal, definitely check these guys out. It's a solid, well-written album with a good, solid singer. Not mind-blowing by any means, but it's just a solid, well-written album. All right. Melanie is back.
All right. I'll pull one out. The new Molder. Engrossed in Decay.
I haven't heard it yet. Everybody's ranting and raving.
It's good. It is a good album. It's Molder. And it's, as what Ben calls it, bunchbox death metal. But yeah, no, it's a very good album. I love the artwork on there.
It's very cool.
And I think it's Nightmare Imagery that did it. Let me just make sure. Or it might be Lucas Court. It's Lucas Court, yeah. That did the album art for it. So yeah. Really good album. I'm completely biased though. Molder can do no wrong. They could make a rap album and I probably would buy it and promote it as much as possible. So there's a little bit of bias here, but yeah, it's a great album. I've bought it on like every format, but I took the tape out to show because I don't think I've showed it on my channel yet. But yeah, Molder is so hot right now. Yeah, well, they're a good band. You should listen to them. If you like death metal, this is probably a must-have in your collection, and along with their other albums that they've released over the years. So it's a very good album. It is. It's fun. One of the best death metal albums to come out this year for sure, which I feel like hasn't been a whole lot so far. So we'll see.
There's been a million death metal releases this year.
There have been. And I feel like I kind of got off the wave of buying everything as it comes out, and now I've completely lost touch of what's good. So right. I'll catch up.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to keep up. You stop. It's a lot. It's a lot to process. All right, Alan.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to work out the lyrics in my head to Straight Outta Shorewood for Melanie. I'll get there. Give me some time. All right. Well, let's go to a traditional metal album I like a bit more than the Satan one. The new Iron Flame.
I had that pulled too.
Madness Dwells. Figured you would, and rightly so. Really good album. Obviously, again, we know the guys in the band. Very nice. Connections to Nichachwins, Icarus Witch, lots of other cool projects going on. This is the fourth Iron Flame album, and it's I still need to go back and replay some of the others just to confirm this. I think it's their best to date, though. It's instantly very likable. The songs just feel like they come out of the gate even stronger than usual for the band. All their albums have been quite good, but this one just really kind of grabs your attention from the first listen and does a really excellent job. Iron Flame, it really straddles the line between sort of traditional metal and power metal. We discussed that with Andrew. He's like, oh, which one should it what do you call your band? And he's like, please don't call it power metal. Just like, it's kind of power metal. It's close. It's very close. Regardless of whatever genre you want to shove it in, it doesn't matter. It's a very good listen that style. If you like your sort of fantasy based up tempo catchy metal, this album's as good as just about anything else that you're going to hear this year. So don't pass on this one. It hasn't been out. When did this one come out this year? Again, it all kind of blurs together.
Just 2 months ago, I think. It's only been a couple months.
I don't think it's been very long at all.
The vinyl hasn't dropped yet. I've got all the rest on record. I need to get that one too.
Okay, fair enough. But yes, if you missed it somehow, Iron Flames, Where Madness Dwells, great pickup. Awesome album for the year.
Good one for sure. I am not super familiar with this. Melanie just sent me a little package of some stuff, and this one stood out. The coloring in the artwork on the cover was interesting, so I spun this, and it's pretty solid death metal. It's Maul with Seraphic Punishment. It's a solid record. It's really solid. It's in the OSDM spirit, but there's a lot of things that these guys are doing that set them apart from the super detuned, polluted sounding bands. There's some interesting music breaks. We have some clean guitars on occasion. Solid. It's a solid record. I've only spun it twice, but I really like it. I took to it. The songs are super catchy. There's a little bit of vocal diversity in there too, mostly of the death metal style, but he had some high register on occasion too to break it up. It isn't just toilet bowl gurgling. It's pretty solid. It's a solid record. I like the cover too. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, that was going to be my next one.
Was it?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a bias here for me because I know Garrett, the singer of the band. I got to know him a couple of years ago when I started getting a following on Instagram. Mm-hmm. I bought their last EP that came out two years ago now. And they're good friends with the guys from Warflurch and stuff like that. So they've had they have an Instagram presence, and he used to do Mall Mondays on Instagram all the time, and he would go live and talk and just interact with people on there. And so yeah, their EP stuff is really good, but this album is really good. I instantly loved it. The tapes on Gurgling Gore, the CD, I can't remember who released the CD. And then the vinyls, Redefining Darkness.
Fuck, I can't read that. Yeah, this is Redefining Darkness. CD's Redefining Darkness. Thanks for sending it. I really appreciate it. It's cool.
It's really good. They're a fun band. They're hilarious. So if you follow them on Instagram, you know that they're just goofy guys. Garrett is also in a death grind band too. That it's like a side project that he does, which is really good. Paranoid Apparition, I think is what they're called. That also came out this year too. So yeah, it's very good. Definitely, like you said, it's that old school death metal vibe, but he gets a little bit more upper register, and there's a little bit more layers in there. It's not just the chugging death metal. They add some more musicality into there. So I'm glad you liked it.
Production like they're in a septic tank. Yeah.
yeah.
Produced in a septic tank. Yep. You're up.
All right. Let's see. Trying to. You know what? I think I'll just get this one out of the way. It's gonna trigger everybody, but I'm just not even gonna deny it. I love the new Undeath album. I just love it.
I haven't heard either of their albums.
It's got probably
the hype made me
it's a very hype band. It's Time to Rise from the Grave. Admittedly, is the dumbest album name, I will admit, and they joke about it, so I don't feel bad saying that. They make jokes all the time. I loved their first album, and then this album is a big progression. They definitely they've progressed quite a bit in their sound. There's still a couple of songs in here that remind me of their first album, Necrobionics is the one song that reminds me a lot of their first album. It's got that like bounciness that they do in their songs. But it's a really good album from front to back. I listen to it. I know every song. I sing it. It gets stuck in my head for days. It's one of the death metal albums. It came out pretty early in the year. It was probably one of the most hyped death metal albums to start off the year that everybody was talking about. And I just don't care. I love it. I hope I get to see them live soon because I know that they put on a great show. The band is a lot of fun, and they're attached to Chris Barnes forever now because Chris Barnes was very triggered that they were on some stream and were called like the future of death metal with Gay Creeper, and Chris Barnes went off about how horrible they were, and he probably has never even listened to them. So yeah, but a lot of people write them off just because they were a Maggot Stomp band because they came out with a demo on Maggot Stomp several years ago, and people tend to write off bands that come off on Maggot Stomp, but now they're on Prosthetic Records. It's very good, so definitely check this out. It's just death metal. It is your standard death metal. No frills. You can tell they had fun writing it. But hopefully people enjoy it. And again, I'm not even going to act like I don't like it just because of the hype. I love it. It's been one of my favorite albums this year to come out.
I'm sure it's good. A lot of people say how great it is. I'm always turned off to check it out. I don't know why that is. So it's a flaw.
They've found success, and people hate on success, unfortunately, especially in the death metal realm.
It's true.
Yep. Sometimes they do. Yep.
It's true. All right, Alan.
All right, I am at the bottom of my stack. So, but I saved a really good one for last. It is Sadistic Ritual with the Enigma Boundless.
Oh, is that the one Kellen was talking about?
Yeah, Kellen mentioned this in a video months ago as sort of a really interesting, different take on thrash metal. And it was an interesting video. I had never heard of the band. I kind of just filed the name in the back of my head. And then next time I was at one of the local stores, lo and behold, it was there in the racks. And I was like, oh, that's that weird album cover that Kellen was talking about. What the hell? I'll give it a shot. Kellen talked it up quite a bit in his video. Thought I don't mind paying $12 to help out the local store, and Kellen usually has pretty good taste in stuff. So yeah, let's listen to it. And yeah, it's a very cool listen, and it is kind of a different style of thrash. The vocals lean more into almost like the Blackened thrash metal style, but the music does not. Musically, it's very heavy, loud riffing, really sharp guitar work. The whole album comes across as very dark and angry, but not in like a blasting way. They're not just trying to beat you over the head with it. It's kind of very insidious sound to it. The production, it feels like it is maybe a little bit brick-walled if you were going to criticize it for something, that everything's maybe a little bit too loud and a little bit too topped off. But I really like what they're doing here. That, yes, they're not just playing, retro thrash, and they're not trying to do, just the, Blackened thrash. Let's copy Midnight and, do 3-minute songs that, interchange the words, sex, drink, fuck, and beer over and over. That stuff is fun. Don't get me wrong. But there's a lot of bands doing that right now. Sadistic Ritual is not doing that. They are kind of carving their own path, and it's pretty interesting. The cover art is kind of weird, psychedelic. I think some people have made a little bit too much out of the psychedelic aspects of the cover. It doesn't really bleed over into the music, at least to my ears. But lyrics, a lot of stuff, paranoia, surveillance, trying to sort through all kinds of misinformation and lies and such. Yeah, a lot of stuff, that people kind of, think about, but presented in a reasonable way. It doesn't feel like it's trying to force you to have one opinion or the other necessarily right off the bat. So yeah, really cool listen. And Kellen had mentioned it in response to something we had talked about, with a lot of times thrash bands seem to have trouble defining a new sound, that way too many of them just kind of fall back into the same patterns and, the retro vibe. And so, here was a band that isn't doing that. And for that alone, they deserve some credit. And the fact that they found something that works pretty well as a more unique sound, is even better for them. So it's a cool album, and I'm very interested to see where the band can take this sound. If they can build on it, expand it, and make it even better, or is it a one-off anomaly that will just kind of be one of those quirky things that it just sits by itself? Don't know, but it's going to be interesting to find out. And that is the last album I have to say anything about from 2022. Now, y'all are welcome to please go right ahead with other stuff, but you can just go back and forth and skip me. I have no other albums to show.
Fruit flies in here. It's driving me crazy. All right.
It's because you're so sweet.
Yeah, I'm so sweet.
I have one more that I want to talk about, and the rest are just ones I pulled because I thought I liked them, but don't know.
Well, you can go through them too. I got one more as well, and I wasn't going to get out of here without talking about the new Voivod, Synchro Anarchy.
I was waiting. I'm shocked that it didn't come out sooner. This
is probably my number 2 of the year. It's really amazing how Chewy, Daniel Mongrain, is that his name? Yeah, Daniel. He revitalized this band. He completely channels the spirit of Piggy through his playing. He's a little bit more technical maybe than Piggy was, but great songwriter. This sounds to me like the cross between Dimension Hatros, which is my favorite Voivod album, and Nothing Face, leaning a little bit heavier on the Dimension Hatros. But this seems like that would have been this could have been the transition album between those two records. It's just well written. It's well produced. I love the songs on here. Everybody sounds absolutely great. For a band to be going this long in this weird bizarro style and still putting out albums that have something to say is really cool. It's really good. And if you have, I see there's a lot of fans in the chat, which is very cool. Check out Synchro Anarchy. Voivod are still on fire. A bunch of old farts still kicking ass. I love it.
It is good. I'm actually sad I didn't pull it. I don't know why I didn't think about it. It's another band that I haven't dove too deep into. I know a lot of their earlier stuff. There's just a lot of other stuff I need to listen to, but the deep dive videos, I've been slowly getting through them that they did several months ago. Who was that? Matt and somebody else? You, Marty, were on it.
Which one? Oh yeah, me,
the
Matt,
Jeff. Yeah, Jeff. Yeah,
Devin was on it too. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as Melanie. I know the first few albums pretty well, but I'm really weak on stuff that came after. I found a few here and there that I like, thanks to Matt at the Dark Path. He's pointing me to some of the better ones, because I always seem to pick the ones that I don't like to listen to, and then I run away and don't play them for a while.
Okay, Melanie, you are back. Go ahead and rip through your stuff. You're all good. You have the floor.
Everybody already knows how I feel about this album.
I have not heard that record yet. I have not heard that record yet.
So White Ward, band from Ukraine. They have 2 other albums out. All great albums. I love them all. I think Futility Report's probably one of my favorite albums that they've released, but Love Exchange Failure was also really good. So False Light, still White Ward, still has the saxophone, still has the high pitched screaming, still has that post black metal sound with that experimentation in there. However, this album, I think they've progressed so much in their sound, and they've written some really well structured songs, like they always have, but this album is really, really good. The first time I heard it, I was hooked, and I still am. I listened to it again today. This is probably, along with Wilderun and Moonlight Sorcery, the 3 in the Chachuan, those are probably my top albums for the year. The ones that I've listened to the most. It's really good. And the thing that I really like about this band is that they're not a traditional black metal band. Everybody knows they're that post black metal, but they sing about things that are not anti-religion, not, any of the normal black metal topics. It's more stuff about real things that people actually go through, like political statements, of course, are in there, stuff like that. So that just the lyrics are always really catchy for me as well. But yeah, really good. There's even horns on here. There's a guest singer on here that's got like this really dark, ominous voice. A very good album. I love it. I made a whole video about it, which I don't do review videos, but I wanted to talk about how much I loved it. And I still, it's just a great album. So yeah, if you can get past the fact that it's got saxophones in it, you'll probably like this album too. For whatever reason, people hate when saxophones are in metal.
I'm not a big saxophone fan.
But
I'm not.
Saxophones are maybe one step above dolphins in terms of things that are not metal.
Oh no! Don't let that deter you. It's a great album. Other than that, I did pull Napalm Death's EP, or is this an EP? The final, whatever the hell this was called. What is this called? Resentment is Always Seismic. It's like a carry on from their last album. Thought it was fun. Thought it was good. This came out relatively early in the year too. Yeah, it's Napalm Death. It's good. You know what you're getting when you listen to Napalm Death at this point. They're consistent. I think they're making good music still.
So that sorry to interrupt, but that Crimson Concerto guy has been blocked from the channel. You know, if you can't be respectful in the chat, you're fucked. You're out. I'm not going to put up with it. We're all here to talk. Everybody's got differing opinions. If you're going to sit there and you know, be a dick to other people, we're not going to fucking put up with it. So keep that in mind moving forward in the chat. Again, differing opinions are fine. Being a dick isn't going to fly. So I've been watching him. I've been told he was a troll. I've been watching him. He's been flirting the last few times he's been on here with being a dick, but he always pulls it back and contributes. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of him. He's playing the game. I'm not putting up with it. So little mention to the chat there. Be nice to each other or you can go somewhere else. Anyway, sorry, Mel. Continue.
He probably came from my channel.
No, he's been on in the past before. He starts trolling and then he like gets in the conversation and then he plays with it. He tries to see where the line is, and I'm sick of fucking worrying about it. He's gone. So anyway, continue.
What else did I have? There's a lot of stuff I've gotten and I haven't really dove into that much that people are just raving about. Oh, well, actually, I don't know why I didn't talk about this yet. It's another $20 been released, so people are probably going to get triggered by that. But the Savage Necromancy, Chris Moyen artwork clearly. So it's an Archgoat knockoff is what people are calling it, because it's blackened death metal that sounds like Archgoat. I love it. Archgoat's one of my favorite bands. I'll admit that. So I was immediately drawn to it as soon as I heard it. I bought it on the artwork alone. But the fun thing about this is that the vocalist is a female. So added bonus for if people don't hate on that, which people hate on that regardless. So yeah, I think it's a good album. I've listened to it quite a bit. I don't know why I didn't talk about it sooner, and I also pulled the new Archgoat EP as well. I mean, it's Archgoat. It sounds like Archgoat.
I don't have that. Huh. I've got all their other shit. I don't have that one. Huh.
Well, all Christianity ends. So there you go, Alan. You got the... this is, it's good. I mean, it's Archgoat. I like their newer stuff a lot more than their older stuff now. I found that
they've gotten a lot better. They're a little bit more war metal in the past, which that shit really wears thin with me quickly, but they've gotten a lot catchier as they've gone, which is cool.
I mean, I still love their older albums, but I find that I'm listening to their newer stuff a lot more now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I pulled those two. The new Sedimentum, I have to call this out, is very good. The band is from Canada. They did a demo a couple years ago that sells out insanely fast, and then it sells for stupid prices on Discogs. It was very good. They also did a split with Phobophilic, who just released an album today, and that is fantastic. I still need to listen to it again. I've listened to it once through today. And they got popular in the underground death metal scene, the old school death metal, new wave of old school death metal, but death doom, swampy death doom. But yeah, very good album. This was out on MSUO, Mesako, whatever, Uno show. And then I think, I don't remember who did the tape. Maybe it was Dark Descent. I can't remember. But very good album. So if you're into some more dirgy, death doomy metal, check this out. It's a great band. They definitely deserve a shout out. I love the artwork too. I feel like it reminds me of Worm a little bit. Maybe it's the same artist. It might be the same artist. So that's really good. And then I have a couple left out of left field ones. The new Callous Dow Boys. This is math rock. Is that mathcore? I don't know, whatever the hell that genre is. Something I'm totally new to, didn't know was a thing. This was a Bandcamp like exclusive, like they did something on Bandcamp and I listened to it and I was like, wow, that actually is fun. I like it. So I bought it and I'm listening to it. This actually just came out a week or two ago. So I don't know who pressed it, but it's good. And if you're into like the hardcore type of music with mathcore, I don't really know what that entails. But this album I've really enjoyed. Will probably be one of my favorites to come out this year. And then what was the other one that I pulled really quickly? Oh yeah, another Grindcore album because of course that's the new Nomos. Consume, Deny, Repent.
Talking about that Nomos.
Yeah, so this is on Closed Casket. It is just really good grindcore. Lower growl sounding grindcore, not as chaotic like Wormrot and Null that I talked about earlier. I've really enjoyed this album. Haven't seen a whole lot of people hyping it up too much lately. I think it's kind of fallen off a little bit because it came out pretty early in the year, but definitely check this out if you're looking for some more grindcore. This is another album that I've been listening to a lot. And then I think that was it. Other than that, the new Revocation is Revocation, a band that is just consistent across the board. And they have a song on here that features Trevor from the Black Dahlia Murder. So check that out. This just came out today. I think this just came out today. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a pretty recent.
Yeah. But this is good. I mean, it's Revocation. You know what you're getting with them. It's Dave Davidson slaying on the guitar, writing technical riffs. Yeah, but it's a good album. I think that's it. That's all that I pulled.
There's a couple tapes sitting there. What are those?
Actually, so no, this was actually, I was going to talk about them. And then I kind of was like, I like them, but do I love them? I don't know. The new Artificial Brain. So Artificial Brain is one of those bands I have to be in the mood for. It's a lot. They're a lot to dissect. They're very atmospheric death metal at best is what. And this is their new self-titled album that just came out. It is very good, but I think I still need to take a little bit more time with it. I've enjoyed it. There's a lot of songs on here that I've really loved. But again, I don't know how much I'll love it or if I'll go back and listen to it a lot. It's one of those bands I really have to be in the mood for. And then the other thing that I had pulled was Chat Pile, God's Country. I have no idea what this music is. Couldn't even tell you what genre.
Well, that's a band
under.
Everybody's talking about too. I don't know.
But I only know about them because of one of my friends named Adam that I've met through Instagram. He just sent it my way. He knows that I've been really getting into like Full of Hell and stuff like that. It's a very different style of music. I can't even tell you what it even reminds me of. It's not metal, but it is metal. It's not death metal. It's not black metal. It's not grindcore. Maybe it's kind of a hardcore album. I don't really know. Somebody tell me what this is considered. I don't know, but it is really good. It's just very different. But yeah, it's good. Check it out if you're into something different. I don't know how to describe it. So those are the two that I kind of was like still riding on. Like, will I go back and listen to this again a lot, like later down the road? I don't know. So we'll see. But that was it. That's all that I had pulled.
Okay.
Right. Well, something we want to touch here upon as we kind of wrap up. There's albums we haven't heard yet and some things that haven't been released yet. We still have a few months before 22 wraps up.
Yep.
So I'm interested to know what albums have both of you been interested to hear, just they haven't shown up on your doorstep yet, or what things are coming later in the calendar year that you're kind of waiting to drop?
I actually forgot one thing. Tribal Gaze came out with a new album today. Band that's currently on Maggot Stomp, but they were also on Desert Wastelands previously. And their new album is very good. I listened to it today because it just came out, so I'm waiting to get that physical copy. But I've been seeing good things about it, and it makes me happy. They're a great band. So if you're looking for a new death metal band, definitely check that out.
Thanks, Jason. Hey, everybody, go check out Low Noise Jason Skills YouTube page. He does a lot of, he's a DJ, so he does a lot of record spins and stuff, and very cool, and collection updates and all that good stuff. Go check him out. And thanks, Jason. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
For me, I'm just open to receive. You know, I just want to check out new stuff when I'm feeling inspired to do so. The new Dark Throne interests me. I don't know if that's coming out this year or not. I think it's coming soon, to be honest.
It's December, I thought, right?
Yeah. Okay. I keep buying those guys' new albums. I'm always disappointed. I buy a new album. I say I'm done. I'm not buying any more. But then they put out a new one. I'm like, well, maybe this one will be better. And I don't know. Yeah. I mean, other than that, I've got nothing really that I can think on the top of my head. It's jumping out of me. What about you, Mel? Go ahead. What do you got?
Dream Unending is coming out with a new album.
Oh, yeah. You know, I've got their last album. I still have not spun it. It's in like a 200 record stack of shit that I haven't spun yet.
It's so good.
I just don't. If it's vinyl, I get to it eventually, you know.
And then Worm is coming out with an EP. I think it's an EP. And from what I've talked about with Phantom, it's going to be a lot more black metal. So that makes me excited. So those are the two that I'm really looking forward to. And then another band, Wretched Inferno, smaller death metal band, fun death metal band, very young group of guys. Like, I'm pretty sure one of them might still be in high school, if I'm correct. They're on Frozen Scream's imprint, which is a smaller underground death metal label that I've shouted out several times. They just announced that they're coming out with a new album, I think in November or December. So I'm excited about that. That's about it. I don't really know much else. I'm probably missing something. I just haven't really thought about it.
Okay. Yeah, there's several that I've either missed or just aren't out yet. Have not heard the new Morrigan album, German Bathory Worship.
It's right here. I didn't want to talk about it because it's on Werewolf, and that's
okay.
It's a sketchy adjacent label, but I have all their other albums, and I wasn't not going to buy it. It's good. It's complete Bathory Worship. It's solid. Good, solid.
The band's always good at that. I've heard some of the new Megadeth. I haven't played it a lot, but I've been checking out and been pleasantly surprised. I will actually probably pick that up, and that's the first time I'll have bought a Megadeth album when it's still new in probably like 2 or 3 decades. Candlemass has something coming out, I think, in November. So be interested to see what they've got. There's a new Razor album coming out. Someone just mentioned in the chat, and I keep forgetting about it, but interested to see what they can do. The Chasm, regret to say I have not bought the download.
I haven't either. I will get it.
Folks have said that they haven't dropped a physical release yet. So right now it's only available as download.
They just got signed to Vic Records.
Okay, so maybe
they just got signed. I don't know if it's Vic. I can't remember the label.
Okay, but yeah, I still need to just go ahead and buy the download. And if it comes out on CD later, that's fine. I'll buy that too. I don't mind supporting the band.
Yeah, great guys.
Yeah, I completely missed. Oh yeah, there's Germany's longtime metal veteran Sinner have a new album out called Brotherhood. I think they're on their 24th album and their 21st record label. Those guys change labels a ton, but I usually like their stuff. Very German heavy metal. They've had a strong kind of Thin Lizzy vibe going on recent albums, which is kind of cool. Japanese, crazy avant-garde band Psy has a new album out that I really should have. I don't know if that one's come out yet or not. Chat, help me out. Has that been released or is it still
coming?
Out?
Yep,
it's out. Okay,
I'm pretty sure it's out. Yeah.
Yeah, the local store that carries this kind of stuff, I just haven't been to for a bit. So I definitely need to swing by that record store and pick up some of these type releases. And somebody mentioned in the chat earlier tonight that Sayor has a new album out.
We
And
do.
you missed
Origins.
that. Yes,
I have
Origins.
it.
That's what it was called.
I have it. I spun it once, and I need to give it more of an in-depth listen. Sayor is one of those bands that has always made he's always made great music.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't fully like dove into it.
Okay. Yeah, I've liked all his other stuff quite a bit. But yeah, I had no idea a new one was even out until tonight. So I have added it to the list, and we'll check it out.
Autopsy as well is coming out with a new album this year.
New Bloodbath too. We listened to that in practice the other night. It sounds way better than the last one. I need to pick that one up.
Okay. That got reviewed on Banger TV just in the past couple of days. Because I wasn't aware it was coming out either. So yeah. So there's always more cool stuff coming out.
It's always so hard to keep up, man. You need to have, a lotto backer or something.
Yeah, it's I mean, even if you knew it was all coming out, you could never listen to all of it. So you gotta make some tough choices sometimes. But yeah, I think we've demonstrated pretty effectively that there's been a lot of cool albums that have come out this year, and there are still some cool ones that will be out before we wrap up at year's end.
And I wish, it's kind of hard to just focus on new stuff because I'm still discovering old things that I missed back in the day, or, the 90s or the early 2000s and shit. It's like I said, there's so many bands, it's impossible to keep up. And
that's always the dilemma for, fans of lots of types of music, not just heavy metal. There's all the new stuff coming out that you want to hear. There's all the old classics that you love that you want to play again.
Yep.
And then there's all the old stuff that's come out that you missed and that you've got to sort of go back and catch up on. And so you're constantly pulled in kind of three different directions in terms of, what you're going to buy, what you're going to play, what you're going to listen to. Well, there's only, even money aside, there's only so many days in and out and so many hours in a day that you can listen to stuff. It can drive you a bit crazy trying to stay on top of it all.
Solar put up his list here. Venator, Megadeth, Blind Guardian, Cryptworm.
I forgot to put them in there. That's a good album.
MSG, Venom, Night. You know what? Venom. That Night record, I was gonna buy it, but I ran out of money. I'm on a purchase ban right now. Starlet.
Yeah.
Razor and Tank.
There's the Razor reference.
Yeah. Venom
Jesus,
is good.
Craig, you didn't have to fucking do that. Oh, wow. Come on, man. Did not have to do that, brother. Damn it. Anyway, what were you saying, Melanie? I'm sorry. People are.
So the Venom album is good on Profound Lore. I have it over here because I was listening to it earlier.
Okay.
I've listened to it twice now. But yeah, it's good. I mean, it's a good album. I still need to listen to a little bit more. But
yeah, folks were just tossing out some of the I think Wade and some of the others were talking about some of the Profound Lore releases because we didn't really didn't mention many of those tonight.
I've found with Profound Lore that I tend to go back at the end of the year and listen to their stuff and then find stuff that I absolutely love and wish I had gotten sooner. So I'll probably end up doing that. Like I did that last year. The new Artificial Brain was on Profound Lore. But
that was one folks said they were into.
Yeah. And then the Undergang Anatomia split is really good. Somebody called that out. I have listened to that quite a bit.
Well, I do want to say, Melanie, thank you so much for joining us again and having us do this episode. And I think you should show on your channel whatever the hell you want, and let the kids bitch and cry and do whatever they want. Because you know what? Unless you start another channel, but that takes so much time building up, as you know. But you've been on top of it. Your channel has risen really quickly because you have been the boss on Instagram. You've used that in ways I have not.
I've slowed down the last couple months because I've had a lot going on. I pretty much parked it for now, but hopefully my life has settled down quite a bit. So hopefully I'll get to start doing some more stuff. But yeah, Melanie loves grind. Yeah, that's just grind has been like the big thing for me lately. I've been just buying a lot of it.
Jim, we listened to it at practice the other night, and it's better than I like the last album, but I didn't love it. It's better. Damn it, Eric. Thanks, man. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thanks again for, like we got Craig Zoller in the chat. We're working on getting him on one of these nights too. He's got a very busy schedule. It might actually be a Wednesday night. It looks like Fridays are a little difficult for him. So we'll be doing maybe a deep dive on somebody on a Wednesday night to make Alan stay up late on a school night, but we can get it figured out for sure. But
absolutely, we'll make it work. We just gotta get Craig's schedule lined up, but we'll do it.
Spend this on drug. But thanks again, Melanie, so much. We really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Sorry we had to ban somebody tonight, but again, we're not putting up with any bullshit.
It was going to happen sooner or later.
It's going to happen sooner or later, and it's not the first. It won't be the last. It's just unfortunate. We have a pretty killer community here, and everybody's really respectful. Again, disagreeing is fine. I don't care, but we are watching, and if you're going to be a dick, you're gone. Thanks, Simon.
Thank you, Simon. Yep, and thank you, Melanie. It's always fun having you on.
We gotta do a redo with him someday.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
There's going to be probably next month. We're going to do another keep or reap. You decide. The crowd decides. That was a big success last time. So, we'll bring on a couple players, and
Melanie ducked out the first time, so she's got to be on the firing line this time, I think.
Yep,
for sure.
Sounds good. Well, everybody check out Melanie Loves Death Metal. Link in the description. Check out Let's Talk Metal. Link in the description. Alan is doing the Lord's work as well, and he is on uploads every Tuesday. And I do want to mention every Wednesday we are doing an album club. They don't get many hits. I know it's difficult for people to get excited to watch a stream about one band they may or may not give a shit about, but we usually have a pretty cool discussion whether you're know the band or not. We just did Hades Again Shall Be this past Wednesday. Myself, Jim, who's in the chat, and Kellen from Killing for Company, which is another channel you need to check out. Mm-hmm. We're going to be coming back next week with Battle Roar's Age of Chaos. We're going to be covering that album, so definitely tune in with us on Wednesday. We're going to have a little discussion on that record, what we thought about it. If you want to get in, you want to listen to the album as well and join us, that would be great. It's a lot of fun when everybody gets involved and does their homework. Other than that, program notes. Next week, I am not going to be here, but Alan is, and so will be. Should I say it, Alan, or you want to wait?
No. Isn't that 2 weeks from now? That's the 30th, right?
You're right. Fucking time. I'm so fucked up with time. Okay. Well, I'll be here next week. We don't have a guest yet, but we'll get that figured out. 2 weeks from now, I will not be here. And
yes, Marty is taking a vacation to parts unknown. And
no, I'm not. It's a band. There's our engineer in the studio has got a band, and I'm gonna go see him on Friday night. Everybody plays on Friday night, so
I was gonna make it something big, man.
Oh, I'm boring. I'm old and boring. I don't do anything fun.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll hold that other one in the bag for a week. But yes, we've already got a good show lined up. So even when Marty is gone away, Alan and two special guests will play.
Yeah, they will, and they did a great job last time, and they'll do a great job again. So anyway, thank you everybody. We're rambling. It was great. Had a great time. Thank you everybody that contributed to the funds. We really appreciate it. You all rule. We love you all. We'll see you next week. Again, Melanie, cheers. We'll see you soon. Take care, everyone.